Welcome to Self Perfected.
Hit that button. Let's go. And oh, I forgot to hit the share sound, but imagine there's sound coming through your speakers right now. Can you just imagine it? It sounds like man, you've got a pretty good imagination.
Join the new wave, create the future. Join us, become the new 1%. Stand up for what is best. Be the change. Change yourself. Oneness, equality.
All right. What's up, everyone?
Hey,
Hello.
hey. Ready?
What's up, guys?
I feel like every
Sorry,
time I
I'm-
get on
You guys
this,
keep talking. I'm just going to be on TikTok for a bit.
Yeah, well, every
What's
time
going
I
on?
get on this podcast, it's like I feel like I need to have a harness, because throughout the week, right, Cameron's like sending me these ideas, and then Drake's sending me these ideas, and it's like, whoa, I know what it is. I had a vision, you guys. I had an apparition appear to me.
Oh, I want to hear
I
this.
feel like I'm in the Wild West
Mhm.
on a stagecoach.
Yeah.
And there's one horse that is fucking crazy going all the way to the top of the mountain, and the other one that's like wanting to be like a preacher, right? So every time we stop in a town, he's got a message to preach. And those are the two horses on my stagecoach. I'm just, holding on, right?
Just hold on for dear life. You're like,
Yeah. And in case anyone doesn't understand the analogy,
What a stagecoach is?
yeah. I mean, there's some people, English is not their first language, so,
So what Mitch is trying to say is everyone has two wolves inside of them.
No, two horses inside of
Two
them.
horses inside of them.
There's the wild one, and then the one that wants to be a preacher.
Yeah.
Everyone has two. Okay. Everyone has two people inside of them. One is a native Aboriginal. The other is a colonizer.
Ooh.
Wow, good. Spells, keep it going.
And some people.
What happens? Do they battle?
Some people have a fucking weird interdimensional alien controlling both of the other two.
Oh shit. What's it look like?
You gotta come to the after hours. You gotta come to the event, and I'll sketch you a picture. Come to the event in Miami. I'll sketch you a picture.
Wow.
Hey, an original.
I'll show you my tattoo. I got a tattoo of it.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
Insane. Interesting.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this tattoo. I've not seen it yet, which means it must be in a very particular place because
Yeah.
I've seen, I've
I
seen
mean, you've seen
I
it
think
all.
it's like
Seen a
one
lot.
of those, I think it's one of those lower back tattoos.
It's tattooed on my large intestine.
Oh
Yo.
man. And you're gonna
Wow.
get to see it after hours.
Yeah, after hours in Miami. In 20
Just
days.
so you know,
We're gonna do the
do
podcast
colonoscopy.
live. Except I was gonna say that it's gonna be a live stream of a colonoscopy.
Like, oh, there it is. There's the tattoo. Nice.
Wow.
Hey.
Yeah.
One day. So, anyways, on that note, how's it going, guys?
Yeah. Well, I've eradicated that multidimensional alien within myself, so it's pretty cool. Walked my
You
process.
eradicated it.
Eradicated. Yeah,
Wow.
Did you use what'd you use, like DDT? What are we talking here?
Yeah.
used the tools of self-perfection.
Oh, well,
Okay. All right. Well,
there's that.
I will also share that in the after hours though, the specifics.
Okay. All right.
You
All
know, for
right.
here is just building hype, right? Isn't that what this podcast is about? Just hyping everyone up.
I thought it was more than that. I thought it was one horse.
You wanna hear
going
something
to the
cool?
mountain. Yeah. Go ahead.
Hold on. Let me pull it up real quick. What I was going to show you. What?
Hey,
What?
in the
It's
meantime,
not.
there's this. I don't know if y'all drink espresso. Obviously, Drake doesn't because Drake is not into that.
I've had espresso before.
Lame. You probably have like the artisan decaffeinated espresso just because you like the flavor. So
I've also had that before as well.
okay. Well, anyway, at the mall they have this espresso store, and it's really fun because they have like they're so good at marketing. You know,
Uh-huh.
it's the one with Nespresso where George Clooney. You feel like you're friends with George Clooney every time you walk in the store.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Damn, you live under a rock, bro? Okay.
Hey, I
For
just
anyone who
realized.
doesn't live under a rock, it can resonate.
Uh,
You can get these espressos that taste like they're from different places around the world.
that make
So
you
I
feel like
got
you're
these
with
Miami
George Clooney.
espressos. I got these Miami espressos and I'm feeling like I can salsa dance or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's what I'm drinking right now.
So you got like a Colombian espresso or maybe a Cuban espresso?
I
One
actually
of
got
those?
Miami flavor. I got Chinese flavor. Well, Shanghai to be specific. And then I forget what the third one was. Obviously it's not memorable. So yeah,
Coffee?
this one I'm feeling extra Miami vibes. The other day I was feeling extra just suppressed.
Are we
I just
talking like
realized-
Miami and a Target vibes?
No, Miami, like more beach vibe, you know.
Like Miami Airport Cuban sandwiches vibes? They have really good Cuban sandwiches in the airport, by the way. They have probably one of the best airports.
Really?
I haven't been to every airport, but
I don't think I
in terms
always
of
go
in
to
terms
Fort
of food
Lauderdale.
options in Miami, dude,
Hmm.
they've got like everything.
Yeah. No, this is more like
Pretty
the fun
intense.
part of Miami. Definitely not the Target, because the Targets
Okay.
in Miami, we can all confirm are
Little
fucked.
little WEF.
Little, yeah.
Hey, that should be our new instead of saying WTF.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
WEF, man.
Yeah. If it's with the agenda. Yeah. So anyway.
So check this out. So I was just messing around the other day, and then I was on Chat GPT and I said to it, just messing around, testing it out. I said, act as if you are Bernard Pullman.
Ooh.
What do you
Okay.
think it said?
It said
I
I
can't.
I'm gonna read to you what it said.
Okay.
Brace yourself. As Bernard Pullman, the founder of Destiny.
Oh wow. It knows who Bernard Pullen is.
I didn't give it any other context. I didn't tell it. I just said this random thing, right? And I haven't used ChatGPT that much. I would emphasize the importance of self-responsibility and self-honesty. These principles are central to the philosophy I promote, aiming to achieve a world where all life is valued equally. The focus would be on practical self-improvement, advocating for a lifestyle that eliminates all forms of inequality and abuse by starting with oneself. The message I'd share would often include introspective practices such as writing, self-forgiveness, and a commitment to correcting personal behaviors that perpetuate systemic inequalities. I would urge individuals to consider how their thoughts, words, and actions align with the principles of equality and oneness, and to live in a way that truly reflects these values in everyday life.
Wow.
Pretty cool. I mean,
That's not bad.
It could say more, but
I thought it was gonna be
Yeah,
like
where's the shit about
Bernard
the
is-
reptilians? Like, I'm trying to hear about like.
where's all the negative stuff? But
Yeah.
it doesn't get the point about changing the system, but I'm not surprising that. But it does talk about systemic inequalities, which is pretty cool.
yeah.
But it does focus on the self point, and I was like,
Yeah,
that's
that's
it.
cool. The first word is.
I'm
like
sure you
the-
could probably get it to say some negative stuff if you tried, but like
Yeah.
just without asking one way or the other, what is its sort of just initial point?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's not bad. That was cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So interesting.
I guess we're done.
Yeah,
you know,
you guys,
GPT-4.
let's just now, give our responsibility to that, and we'll just make like
the
a
AI already
bot.
knows. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
Well, but the AI is cool with us, right? So
Yeah.
it's cool with Bernard at least. I don't know. I didn't ask you to ask if it
Oh,
was me.
let's- yeah, we're
no,
not-
don't do that. Please don't. Please don't.
I got the most up to date. I got GPT-4.
Yeah.
Let's see. So what did you prompt it with?
No, that's what he has GPT for. He said.
Okay, what did you actually?
Okay, moving along. Anyways, moving along.
I want you to act.
Yeah. No, that's funny. That's cool.
Oh,
All right, so here's what's on the docket for today. Well, there's a lot of things actually. Where should we start? Should we start with
Well, man, I got a bunch of
Music?
AI interesting stuff.
Okay.
Well, I think the music stuff is cool because it kind of goes into bigger points.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, we have time, right? So I was gonna also talk about this, but maybe we can just talk about it first, since there's not a lot to talk about, and we can move on.
Okay.
But did you guys see that video I sent about the untold story of polio?
Yes, I did actually.
Did you
Yeah.
see that one, Mitch?
I've not seen that one, but I have heard bits and pieces about
The
this kind of
moth
thing. And
and the iron lung.
yeah, yeah, Jess got really into reading those books before Aristotle was
Yeah,
born
yeah.
to be able to, you know.
Know about vaccines and all that stuff. Yeah, pretty interesting. And now even Chris Cuomo is coming out saying he was vaccine injured. Remember Chris Cuomo from CNN, who like hardcore fucking promoted the vaccine? And
Oh, so he's
remember he was,
autistic.
and his brother was the governor of New York, remember, and doing all those
Yeah,
lockdowns and shit. And they were
He's
like
the
doing
one
all
who
these
really
puff
looks
pieces.
he's
vaccine
coming out
injured.
saying he's vaccine injured.
Yeah, and that he's taking ivermectin now, and that his
Dude,
doctors.
what if it?
But
Oh, oh,
yeah,
Hold
what
on,
if?
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
this
Hold
is
on,
after he got hired by Valuetainment.
hold on, hold on, hold on. This is the same fucker who was promoting everyone to get the vaccine and
Yes,
saying
Yeah.
like there's nothing
no
wrong
fucking
with it.
principle.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
What a fucker.
What if somehow it like flipped, right? Because you know how the system likes to promote the like oppressed group, right? And it's like, oh, you know, like feel bad for the oppressed person. What if somehow like it's like the people who are vaccine injured, you know, if they somehow like saw the big companies that are making these as the oppressor and the vaccine injured are the oppressed, like I don't think that would happen, but it was just
You
a
know what it
fascinating
is?
thought.
You know what it is? It's they're the real victims, the ones who are
They're getting
vaccinated.
oppressed by a virus.
The
And then if you
coronavirus is
don't
the
take the
oppressor.
vaccine, you're the oppressor.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right,
Okay, okay.
that is what it has
That's
been.
the
I
point. No,
imagine it would continue as
but
that.
that's the point is like and look, I did the right thing and I got injured. And so the fact that you didn't get injured, fuck you. Okay? You're the
You
problem.
know, the whole thing of like woke leftist people promoting the vaccine, which is really you're just promoting some bullshit products from some big giant pharmaceutical companies that don't care about you. It kind of reminds me, it kind of makes me, it's like the same thing as like black people being Christian. Do
Oh
you know what I mean?
man.
Like they just took
Yeah.
on like the slave masters, like fucking
Or like a lot of Africans being Christian, right? Like
Sure, yeah.
specifically. Like I was
Sure.
just watching some African talking about it was an African preacher saying how look, all these white people came to our country and they had a specific doctrine that they wanted to push on us, which was to believe so much in the Bible that they could use it to oppress us.
Right.
And like, and
Obviously.
yeah, and like it's obvious, right? But he's like, but guys, you don't think there was human rights before the white man came to Africa? Like, hello, that's why they stole our arts. That's why they, chopped off the noses off of, the Sphinx and shit like that. It's like they
Also, black people didn't make the Sphinx, but whatever.
let's not get. Actually, we could get into it here. We
They didn't
can.
build the pyramids either.
All right, all right, all right.
You know, okay. I was asking Katie about this, and I was checking with you guys. Did you ever watch any Bible story type things? I remember
VeggieTales?
when I was growing up. No, I never watched
VeggieTales.
VeggieTales,
Oh,
but
you missed
there
out.
were these cartoons I would watch at my grandmother's house in North
VeggieTales.
Carolina when I was a kid.
Yeah.
They didn't have VeggieTales when I was a kid. It wasn't until I was like at least middle school,
Oh man,
at least.
I'm
So
sorry.
maybe even yeah.
Wow.
Anyways,
VeggieTales was
yeah, I
so
know, I missed
stupid.
out. No, this was just like
No.
some cartoon Bible story things, and like I remember I learned all the Bible stories, right? I didn't believe it, but they were just cartoons.
Sure.
But I remember one of them was the whole thing with like the Jews in Egypt, right?
Egypt?
Like leave Egypt.
They got that drip.
They got that Egypt.
Yeah.
But it showed the Jew slaves building the pyramids.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that was in the cartoon. And so like
There was that movie. There was that whole movie that was a cartoon movie, and it was like Moses leading the people out of Egypt.
maybe it was this. I don't think so. I think that's probably a separate thing. This was like some
It might have been
series of-
later. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But either way, like that's a common thing, right? Right. Okay, I was just
Right.
checking to see if it was just this one thing I happened to see, or that's like a common thing. I'm like, that's totally not how they were built at
Well,
all.
hang on, hang on. First of all, that's anti-Semitic of you to say that. Second of all, you're not allowed to question anything about the Jews or even.
Also, oh guys, did you know? Okay, let me ask you a question. Just play like you're a system agent, you're Agent Smith, you're just a normie. Okay.
You're a
Don't give me
cog.
some fucking, you know,
Yeah,
just you're a cog.
yeah.
Okay. Actually, that's a pretty cool word. We should call people that.
That's the word that we're
Cogs.
using now.
Yeah,
I decided
And
You
then
just-
and then
you just
yeah,
created
and
that?
then
yesterday. I did, yes.
WEF.
It's like when we used to say spells all the time, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Shut up,
Okay.
cog.
yeah, exactly.
And we can come
back
up
to
with what it
cog and
stands
cog.
for.
You know how I thought of it though?
Huh.
Because I was remembering that story that your dad told you, right? And I was like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
exactly what you become. Yeah, because you're actually still keeping the system going. Yeah. Anyway,
I like it.
I think it's better than NPC.
It's also cool because like precog, it's like, you know,
Ooh. Yeah.
Post
I'm,
cog.
I'm feeling some lyrics. Oh, hold on, let me get on Suno, guys.
All
right.
Yeah. Do it. All right.
What was I gonna say?
I'm a cog. What are you doing? What do you have to tell me? You
Okay,
fucking
you remember you're a
conspiracy
cog.
theorist.
Uh-huh.
Why were the pyramids built?
To
to
worship
put
the
people
kings
in tombs.
of Egypt.
Yeah, they were tombs for
For the
pharaohs.
kings.
Yeah.
You know
obviously.
those big Great Pyramids?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you know none of them have tombs in them?
No, I mean they have.
No, there is a
sarcophaguses.
room in there
Yeah.
though, and that room must have had a body in it at some point.
No.
They put the heart in a vase, and they
No,
put
there's
it
a
in
No.
there's a thing.
There's-
There's a thing you can sit in.
No,
Yeah.
there's like other the other places that have tombs in them.
No, but
And
what I saw,
big
Cameron,
pyramids don't have tombs.
But they were.
you're
the
telling,
pyramids
is it just
had
bricks
tombs.
or is there a room? There's a room in there, right?
I'm not saying there's no rooms.
Okay, all
the
right,
room
so
is
the
a tomb,
rooms were
Cameron,
meant
because
to put
why
the-
else?
the-
No.
Why else would you have a giant pyramid with a room?
Yeah. I was
Look,
told.
are there actual
Okay, what are you into, Graham Hancock?
tombs in the
Because
pyramids?
That is TED Talk banned. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Graham if TED banned is TED Talk, obviously it's pseudoscience.
What are you into, like believing that the
I'm gonna
hills
start. I'm
in
gonna go
South
to Reddit
America?
where I feel safe, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
start writing shit about you, Cameron.
You think the
Trying to
hills
find what I was listening to.
are actually pyramids? Yeah, I bet you think hills in South America are pyramids, and in Mexico.
I'm trying to find what I was listening to. But anyways, I can't find the thing right now.
Oh,
But this
very
guy was
good.
talking about the fact that there's no actual tombs there.
Mm.
And there's like other places that are clearly like have tombs in them and like have the bodies are buried there and all this shit. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, that's not what we were taught
Yeah,
at all.
Okay, I'm done being a cog. Fuck being a cog. Yeah, no, it's crazy when you actually look at it. There is so obvious where there's all these pyramids that actually have tombs in them, and it's like the hieroglyphics are different, everything. And then when you look at the main ones, the big three in Giza, it's just a different thing.
It's a
Is
whole
it-
different thing.
is that how we pronounce it? Giza? It's not Gaza. Damn,
I don't know about Gaza. I know about Gaza.
Gaza. Gaza. That's right. That's
Anyways, what were we talking about? So yeah, it's just crazy.
the
Oh,
pyramids.
who built the fucking pyramids?
So what is the purpose of a pyramid if it's not?
You know
for-
what the whole thing about this Israel anti-Semitism stuff, like, I'm not saying it's the purpose of it, but one thing that it does do. Oh, because what was I was watching one of the, those things where that guy goes around asking like Israelis or Jews or whatever, like
Yeah.
questions and stuff, right?
Yeah,
And there was one where they were asking why it was something to do with Christians believing in the Bible. I can't remember what the question was, but this one guy was saying something about how the Bible is like the oldest book, right? And it's like the oldest like, I don't remember, I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but it was like, it's like the oldest book. It's the oldest religious book or something like that. And I was like, I think a lot of people actually accept that.
Well, there's the story of the Guggenheim, German name, the press. Like the very first.
I'm not questioning whether it was the first
bound book.
printed book. I'm
Yeah,
not questioning
exactly,
that.
printed.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
perhaps in the context of our current
So
civilization,
that to me makes sense as far as like it being mass printed.
in the history that we're taught.
Mhm. Yeah. Like,
But
but I'm not saying it's the first book or first religious
right.
text.
But what I'm saying is, it even that story, it all creates this point where it's like, history
This is all there is.
began like 6 or 7 or 8,000 years ago.
Right.
Because people argue like creationists believe the world was created 6,000 years ago. That's obviously false. It's millions of years old. But just normal mainstream people believe that history began only
10,000.
6, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, and then they argue about the lost city of Atlantis and all this other shit. And it's just like, how do I explain it? We all have this certain view of what history is and what the facts are of our existence and our history and our reality.
Yeah.
And it's just based on some stories you were told. And you're like, well, but they can't all be false. And I'm like, dude, remember we were just talking about this whole thing with watching these cartoons where like this Jew slaves were building the pyramids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's clearly not true.
Yeah. It's
Like, how were they? I remember watching the cartoon and they had horses and they were like pulling these big stones. I'm like, that didn't happen. And I don't think anybody, like even like a modern mainstream Egyptologist scholar, would be like, well, no, clearly they weren't lifting these big stones with like pulleys and shit. That wasn't happening. There's no
Right.
fucking way. It's not even physically possible, like. So, but I'm saying, like, imagine everything you know about history. Your whole conception of what reality is like this image that's built up by all these words you've heard and some images too, but there's words behind that, because you could just see a picture. It doesn't mean anything until you have context for it, right? Like until you know what I mean? Like you have some meaning behind the picture.
you ever, oh man, you know what
The
I used
pictures
to
just
have?
reinforce the words.
I used to have this graphic Bible, right? Like it was like
Like an anime Bible?
not anime, but like those like graphic novels.
That would be pretty cool. I'm gonna look for an anime Bible.
I'm
I guarantee you there is one.
sure.
Manga Bible.
Let's go.
Oh man, don't turn to the page with Jezebel. That just gets into hentai. No, okay. I had one of these, like it was a graphic novel of like all the stories and everything. And I don't remember if it was in this, but I do remember seeing images of a bunch of like people that were clearly in Egypt, and having like these little white skirts or whatever, and pushing pushing these like big blocks rather of stone across some logs or something like that. And it puts an image in your mind of like, oh, that's how it was done. Okay, cool. I know now, and then like it'll have like a ramp. I'm sure you've seen that where there's like a ramp. They're pushing these, but how much did those blocks weigh? Like each one is like,
It was like tons and tons and tons. I don't remember if it was
Right?
like 20 tons, 100 tons, whatever it is. It's like just insane.
let me look.
I'm looking it up.
okay.
2.5 tons.
2.5
tons.
tons.
Oh,
Okay,
that was like
that's a
20.
car. That's a
2.5
car.
tons?
Yeah, that's a car. That's a car with no wheels.
Limestone and granite blocks were pushed and pulled and dragged into place on the Great Pyramid, guys. According to Nova. PBS.
What about the ones way at the top?
Pushed and pulled and dragged.
Yeah,
in
didn't you
place.
hear it?
How did they drag it all the fucking way up there at the top?
Push and pulled and dragged it.
Anyways,
Somebody
we don't
doesn't
need to
listen.
get bogged down with pyramid talk. It's just it's all a little sus.
I like how we started talking about polio vaccines.
Oh, yeah.
Never
which brings
even-
me back to polio.
never
So
even scratch the surface of that.
Yeah. So everyone got their polio vaccine, right?
I did actually.
Great.
Just
okay,
last
but the thing I wanted to say about it
yeah.
was what the guy explains is, and it makes perfect sense. If you go back in time to like the beginning of when that word poliomyelitis was used,
Mhm.
it wasn't referring to a specific virus or disease. Even. It was
Yeah.
referring to a specific symptom, which is inflammation of the gray matter in your spinal cord.
Yeah. And
So
paralysis.
it's like when you hear arthritis,
Yeah.
it's not a disease, it's just a symptom
Yeah.
that can come from different things. Like it'd be like if I had inflammation in my knee. Oh,
Yeah.
you have that disease. And it's like, well, maybe there's different diseases that can cause inflammation or different things that can cause that particular symptom. It'd be like if you said I have headache.
Yeah. Ooh, damn.
Oh, you got headache? You caught headache? Oh, you
diagnosed
caught
with
headache. Like
headache?
it's a virus that it's called headache.
Yeah.
It's like that's just a symptom that it can come from, you could just come from stress, tension, bad digestion, fucking all kinds of stuff can cause headaches, right?
Yeah.
And so it was originally used as it meant a symptom, and then it just became synonymous with some particular virus or whatever.
I had a friend who caught headache when he was like, 5. That's crazy.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Did it happen
Rest in
after he hit
Pfizer.
his head on?
Rest in Pfizer.
Did he hit his head on a wall, and that's why he got it?
Right, exactly. But anyways,
Well,
it was really cool that
wait, doesn't everyone have the image though of polio? Where you think of that little kid who's in the big fucking
Right.
iron lung machine?
right.
No, I think of like the braces and stuff on the legs.
Well, yeah, those are like the two go-tos, right?
Yeah.
It shows you
Anyways,
just images.
I'm not here saying polio is not a real thing per se. Go and watch the video. It's just a really cool perspective to go look at. The guy was on Dark Horse podcast, and that was a pretty cool conversation.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about a lot of points, and then he also has a book. But just I kind of knew all this stuff, and I had heard a lot about all that stuff. But it was just a cool conversation to kind of put everything together. But I just wanted to put out that one point of like, even people think it's like that word. You hear the word, and you're like, "Oh, I got polio." I got polio. And it's like polio was just a thing that was a certain type of inflammation that leads to a paralysis. And it's like you're thinking, I caught this virus and this virus made me paralyzed.
Actually, okay. Here's what I found really interesting about it was the spread of polio was, let's say, facilitated by, well, actually, a series of man-made mistakes, let's call it, right? First off, and also also considering not just man-made mistakes, but in the pursuit of making money is really what caused a lot of the spread of polio. Starting with the moth to then the pesticide,
Like this guy, because of the Civil War, there was a slowdown in the production of cotton and textiles and so forth. And this guy was trying to create a moth that would be more productive with silk or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he like imported a thing which became an invasive species and started destroying like fucking forests of 200-year-old trees.
It wasn't just that he imported moths; he was also selectively breeding them,
right?
To have stronger, be a more robust or hardy caterpillar that will spin this
not
silk.
Be destroyed by DDT. No, but anyway, so they ended up trying to spray like chemicals and shit. And then this guy's making is a really cool argument he was suggesting. And it was cool because at the end, Brett Weinstein was like, the story I was told versus your hypothesis. Your hypothesis explains it way more simply, makes way more sense, and explains shit the other story can't explain. Right. And also the story I have was just based on, it's interesting seeing a scientist go, oh, I accepted something just based on a myth. I never investigated it.
Yeah.
But all this and this and this. And it's like, aren't you a scientist? I mean, I'm not criticizing Brett Weinstein. It's just, aren't you a scientist? Don't you realize like, it's like, no, I'm a scientist. So everything I know is facts.
Yeah.
Like really everything, nothing you have ever believed, everything you know is based. So that's why a scientist can believe fucking Trump colluded with Russia.
Yeah. Because
they don't actually scientifically test everything. A scientist maybe tests one thing scientifically ever in his fucking life. Do you think he's scientifically testing whether he loves his wife and kids and shit? Like he's not doing that. Like he's not scientifically testing why he likes mayonnaise. Remember when that one dude went on Joe Rogan, the guy who was promoting the COVID and all that shit? And he was like, and I do like my, my snacks in the evening or whatever. And Joe Rogan was like, that's really unhealthy. Like you should. And the guy was like, well, I know. And he started pushing and the guy was starting to get like nervous and everything. I'm like, and he's like, aren't you a scientist?
I don't remember that, but
It's
that's
like,
hilarious.
oh, dude, it was great. It was that, I think it was that Paul Offit guy, maybe, or one of those dudes who was just like so hardcore on all the bullshit, right?
Yeah,
Propaganda.
yeah,
And he was just like, pushing him on the point of why do you eat so unhealthy?
right.
So it's like a scientist is not some special fucking being that's like just perfect in every way. They're just somebody who's trained how to do fucking lab experiments on a specific thing, and that's what they're. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I also liked though Brett Weinstein is more of a scientist than like a doctor is. A doctor is not a scientist, right? Like he's willing to be like, no, this I can see the fault in this. All right, yeah, okay. That
It just
I need to
shows
question
too,
this.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like he's willing to do that, which was cool, right?
yeah,
Um, and I was just thinking about the point of like how people assume people are like, I don't know why I thought of this. It's like, like, oh, if you want to make a bunch of money, if you want to be successful, you got to get fit, you got to get in the gym, right? That's
Okay.
gonna, and it's like, explain Winston Churchill then.
um, that was the fittest motherfucker.
He was
I've
more
ever seen.
successful than any fucking person you were ever gonna know, and he was just some fat dude. Like, like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah,
Orson
yeah, yeah.
Welles, like, give me a break, dude.
Yeah.
Klaus Schwab, like, what are you
Well,
talking
it's-
about?
It is.
Like,
I mean, it's showing like the images, right? We have these images that have been programmed into us through the media, through life. I mean, really, it's media, and it's all of its various forms, whether it's you're a kid going to fucking church and then they're showing you movies, Veggie Tales or whatever, or you're just watching YouTube and you're some young guy who's like, oh, I have to now have a six pack in order to prove that somehow that will help me make money.
so
But
you
it's
go
just
buy a
like,
case of Bud Light.
well, that's a whole other
So you can
image.
have a six pack.
Yeah, but it just shows how like as that gets layered and layered and layered and layered, you're like who you are is just then channeled into that. And then that ability to actually pull yourself out of it and go, wait, where the fuck did these images come from? Like that is the real art form, is being able to support another person to question that,
Dude,
Like, does that
if-
come from within? Where you go like, because I mean, I could still remember as a kid when the whole 9/11 thing happened and being like, what? Like, I was like questioning, like, why did this happen? And no one could give me an answer. So it was like I could not get rid of that question. And that's really like what led me. I mean, among many things, what led me to start questioning the system. And I kept searching and searching and searching and searching until I finally found, oh, this actually makes sense. We need to reprogram ourselves.
it's so interesting, the 9/11 point you just brought up, because I was like, remember how we
Oh damn.
Oh,
We lost you.
shit.
We lost you. We lost-
Cameron,
Hold on.
I did not know what you were going to say.
Say that again. Say that again.
The
Remember
suspense
how-
is
like
killing me.
we've been talking about the whole Gaza and Israel stuff, right?
Yeah.
And like it's interesting because part of the argument, people are like, who are kind of on the side of defending what Israel's doing, they're like, but October 7th,
Mhm.
and it's like, but
Damn
people
it.
who are more on the side of the Palestinians are like, it didn't start on October 7th.
Right.
That's just what you're choosing. So it's like 9/11, it's like, we were just attacked. And it's like, so what about all the other context? And then it's
Wow.
like, if you do that, suddenly remember
You're a
back then,
terrorist. Sympathizer.
no, you were anti-American. You
Or
were
anti-American, that's right.
anti-patriot, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what
Yeah.
the word would be, right? But and then it was the demonization of Muslims,
Yeah.
which I'm not saying Islam is great. It's fucking stupid religion like anything else. But my point is demonizing a certain people. So then you can justify all this other shit, which actually you were just perpetrating shit on yourself. Like I sent you guys the Edward Snowden interview with John Stossel, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Hey, I
yeah.
listened to that.
And I've already heard him talk a lot, but that was a really good interview. Did you
Yeah.
did you listen to it,
Yeah,
Mitch?
yeah. It was really fascinating. I mean, because you hear these guys, I don't know if he was the head of the CIA or whatever, but the guy who just blatantly lied to fucking Congress. And
Yeah,
they, like,
I think he
actually
was the
played
head of the
clip.
CIA.
And they were talking about two of those guys. One of those guys went on to he just
Actually,
sitting on the
Clapper, I
board of
think, was
Amazon.
NSA. I think he was
Yeah,
NSA.
yeah. But it's
Either
like both
way.
these guys that are just like openly verified they lied to fucking Congress, like committed this sin you're not supposed to do, and they're both just fine.
Yeah,
What is literally on the board of Amazon right now?
Dude, okay. That is so crazy. Just that point of like,
Amazon was like, "Hey, so you know how to spy on everybody?" And they're like, "Well, on the DL, yeah." And he's like, "Come on over here, help us do that."
so,
Like, isn't okay? But is it a coincidence that Amazon's fucking cloud web services is like all the funding from the CIA and all that shit. Like, come
Right,
on, like
right.
put the
The
dots
CIA, yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that to me is insane. That here's somebody who's like, well, obviously it's like it's obvious. Here's somebody who's saying, hey, this is what's actually happening to the American people. That person's like, no, you get sent, or I guess he went to Hong Kong, and then when he tried to come to some, what country was he trying to go to? Like somewhere in South America or something. They
What are you referring to?
uh
Oh, Snowden?
Yeah,
I don't
they
remember.
basically just like
I thought
cut
he
his
ended up in
passport
Russia.
off when he was in Russia.
Mhm.
You know, he's like, I'm stuck here. They don't want to fix it. I
But they
can't
make
get
it look like
like yeah, like
he's
trying
working
to
for Russia.
exactly.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
kind of
Um,
smart. I don't know.
Well,
Um,
okay. Oh, keep going, Drake.
no, I was just saying like, so here's somebody who's actually working within the best interest of the people, and they're like, fuck you.
Okay,
Right?
even regardless of that, even if you're like he was a terrible guy, a traitor, even if
Sure.
all that is, even if you agree with that, who cares?
Yeah.
Like the fact is, we now know what was exposed.
Right.
And if it wasn't legit, I mean, we already know, everyone accepts that it's legit. No one's
Yeah.
questioning whether it's legit
Right.
at all.
Right.
But now we know this. And it's like, okay, let's just look at the actual thing that was exposed that everyone now accepts is actually happening. Like,
Yeah.
that's what's fucking nuts.
Okay. And nothing's changed. Like in fact, it's only getting worse. The invasion of privacy, if you want to call it that, the surveillance that is possible for the state, the government to do to the average person.
No, like the
is-
government fucking, and this is an established fact.
Yeah.
Okay. This is, no one is disputing this now. The government is storing every single thing everyone ever does online ever in a big fucking warehouse, let's just call it.
Well, that just sounds
Like-
like paranoid nonsense.
Like, I mean, that is the fact. That's not the conspiracy theory. That's
Right.
just the facts that everyone's like, yeah, I mean, sure. You can agree if you like it or don't like it, or if it should be allowed or not, but that is the fact of what's happening.
Do you think the birds are real, birds are not real campaign, do you think that's like a psyop for the younger generation to be like, yeah, that's that's just crazy nonsense. We're not actually being surveilled. Like
It's either a deliberate psyop by some agency or whatever, or it's just an emergent phenomena of the fact that this is where we're at.
mm.
Either way, it's still floating around.
So okay, so I'm just looking at this point of yeah,
But it's
obviously
it's like as if making a joke of the fact that, oh, things are surveilling us all the time. Like,
right.
like since
it's
obviously
accepted.
birds are real, they're not spying on us, therefore we're not being spied on.
Or at least it subconsciously allows you to be like, oh, I'm okay with it.
That's all just some bullshit. Yeah, or
Right.
whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Haha.
Yeah.
Well,
It's interesting because that's the state that we're in right now is just like everyone's just like accepted like, oh yeah, we're just being surveilled all the time. And nothing's actually being done about that. It seems like I don't know. It's just accepted now. It's just where we're at. All the information is being stored on you. The people
Because,
who are
yeah.
doing it are not getting in trouble for it at all. Yeah.
that's where
Yeah,
we
so much we could talk about today.
There's always
Well,
much-
okay, it's like this whole. There's got to be a word for this, right? It's like a matrix of images, right? And that gets impressed on everybody. And you either just go into it and then jump from one to one, like you're scrolling through fucking TikTok, just like stuck with that image. And that's where you're channeling yourself into, and you don't question it. You don't take any responsibility within it. And that's where people can get fucking lost.
Mhm.
Or at some point you're able to, whether it's a combination of pulling yourself out of it, or you can see how it fits together. And
Yeah.
then you build a worldview of like, oh, this is where it is. It's like, it reminds me of that meme, that Charlie from It's Always Sunny meme, where he's like putting the fucking pieces together on the board.
Right.
But actually, it's like you can start to put it together and then you see it, and then you can see where that's going. If you have a baseline level of common sense, you can see, oh, this is not good where this plays out to, especially when you have kids and you actually give a fuck about your kids. It's like, okay, I need to do something about this, right? But also, what's cool is part of that media matrix is us also we're able to now go into it, have that influence. Like that's what this podcast is. Like we're able to start impulsing ourselves because we always say there's no one doing anything about it. Yeah, I mean, except us. So
Okay. All right. You ever read Dumbing Us Down, John Taylor Gatto, right?
Mhm.
He makes this point, and he does this in other places as well. But he makes this point of how, as a child going to school, you don't have privacy. You don't have a moment to yourself. Even
Uh-huh.
the idea of homework is the school is following you into your home. It's surveilling you at all times.
Or it's
Then
just showing that your time is not your own was his point.
it's not your own. Yeah,
You're at home. No, you're still working. You got
Right.
work to do at home.
right. But also it creates this condition for a lot of parents where your parents now become your
Sure.
your wardens in a sense.
They're like peeking in. You doing your homework?
Exactly. Um, and I'm just seeing how that is playing out with the government is now it's like pretty much accepted by the average person that you're being watched all the time. Even when you think, well, no, I I only have my phone in my pocket, or the phone is off or whatever. It's like, no, that's sending a radio signal to the towers nearby you where your location is always known at any moment. If you have your phone on you, your location is known. And if you walk into a home that has an Alexa on it and it's not your home, and you're like, but it doesn't know that I'm in the house, it's reading the radio signal from your phone and it recognizes you. It's like, oh, here's Mitchell. He's at this house. I wonder what he's doing here, And so your location is always known. It's always on. Whether you turn that feature off on your phone or not doesn't
Even
matter.
if you don't have your phone, I was watching there's that Chinese Asian dude who makes videos about tech surveillance and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And I didn't send this video because I didn't watch it, but I started watching the beginning and I just had to do something else. But he was talking about how the whole network of technological devices can locate you even if you have no device. Like
Even
at
if you
the
have
point
no device.
at the point where everything is at now, and it's like a built-in technology that Apple and other, it's not like a specific technology, it's like the whole network effect or something. It's like it is a technology, but I'm saying it's not something you can turn on or off on your phone. It's like the way everything is designed.
Wow.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but he was starting to go into that, and he was just making this point of like what they're creating and doing, and it's basically done, is you cannot hide from it. Like even
Okay.
if you have no device, even if you unplug, it's irrelevant. Like
Here's what I wanted to say.
you read
earlier.
Cryptonomicon, right?
Yes, of course.
Remember how like the guy, I know this is kind of off topic in a way, but like remember how they could read what was the guy was doing on his computer?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they had some
Like
device,
through
I
the
forget
wall.
exactly.
It was like through the wall.
It's like they could read the electrical signals of the
they could
computer
see
and
what was coming up
recreate
on
what
his
was
monitor.
happening. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So I'm just saying that think like that. Think
Right.
like these things can see more than you realize.
Okay. What is it that all the Q people, all the flat earthers, what is it that they always say or they always want? Right? They're like stated
Like everybody to know what they know.
exactly.
Sort of thing.
Exactly. Their whole thing is just like, well, if everybody knew, everybody fucking knows that we're being surveilled all the time against our rights.
Yeah, exactly. No one,
And nothing's done about it. Like
Yeah.
that's not going to stop these
well,
people.
nothing can be done about it in the context of where everybody's at.
It's also
like,
interesting that
The
interview.
only thing that can be done about it is people share this fucking.
Well, hold on, hear me out for a second. Yeah,
Principles.
okay, yes. But hear me out. To say no one's doing anything about it
Mhm.
is like still even playing into the point that it's being done to us. Who's going to work for Apple? Who's going to work for AT&T and Verizon and you name any company that's doing anything? Who's going to work for Pfizer? Who's going to work for CNN? Who's like,
Yes.
these things are not just happening to us. Everybody is creating it every day. And you might think, well, I just work for some other company that doesn't do any of that, but you supply the fuel that goes to this thing that supports that company to
Well,
exist. Like you're still operating in the same
the
system.
point that I was going to make is yes, I agree with what you're saying. The point that I was going to make is the average person tends to look at well, somebody who's in control will stop. They'll change direction.
No, I
They'll-
agree. Yeah, yeah.
You know,
what
right?
you're saying. Yeah.
And you know, you just look at that interview that Hillary Clinton just recently did, where they're talking about like, oh, they got Madeleine Albright's name. They stopped it from being put on a building. How dare they? Meanwhile, Madeleine Albright is this she was, I guess, Secretary of State, right? During the Clinton administration, during Bill Clinton's administration. And she was asked directly, Mitch, did you see this?
No.
She was asked directly, hey, it also isn't it funny? She was okay, so Cam sent this video of her at a rally, and I think it was for Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Yeah.
There she said, there's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women, right? Meanwhile, this is the same woman who during the Clinton campaign, or during, sorry, Clinton's presidency, during it was against Iraq, right? Saddam Hussein, yeah. She was saying, they asked her, the sanctions that we're putting on Iraq is resulting in 500,000 children dying. Literally, that's happening right now. Do you think that this is worth it? And she said, it's a very hard question, but yeah, it's worth it. Like that easily, she said it. There's no like.
Yeah,
there's
it was
no
like very matter of
deliberation.
fact. Like, yeah, but
Yeah,
it
it's
is
just
worth
like,
it. Like,
yeah, it's worth it. It's like, what?
that's kind of what I was trying to get at earlier about the 9/11 thing versus how it refers how it relates to the Israel point now, where it's like, well, some terrible thing that we told you happened just out of the blue, we then have to do all this other stuff. And it's like literally the stuff you're doing is the real evil shit. Like, yeah, the other thing sucks too, but this is the real evil shit. Like, okay, I know timeline wise they're not related, but the 500,000 Iraqi kids versus a few thousand people working at the World Trade Center getting killed. I know they're not directly related to each other, but it's like, if I said it was 500,000 Jews and it was Hitler, you'd be like, just, I can't. But if it's like, oh no, they were Iraqi kids because Saddam Hussein's a dictator and we needed to, put the sanctions on them, and it's just, it's fine. Fine.
Like,
And why do you care about the Holocaust point? Because you fucking were impulsed with some fucking stories and images and stuff to care about that, which doesn't mean it doesn't matter. It's just you weren't impulsed with that with over here. You only care about what you were impulsed to care about. That's the problem.
Media Matrix. Got you
hey,
good.
Unless you have some other else, I want to move on to another point.
I just looked up a picture of Madeleine Albright and I'm like, God damn, this lady looks like
she's very fit, right?
She goes to the gym. That's why she's so successful.
Exactly.
I don't think
Yeah.
she goes to the gym.
I think I had wrapped on that point that I based the point that I wanted to make.
Imagine her knocking on your door.
But that's what she looks like now, ish. I don't think
She was
is she
way
still
hotter
alive?
back in the day, dude.
Is she still alive?
No, she died in 2022.
Okay.
COVID? Was it COVID? Or did she die in the Hamas attack?
Yeah. Okay.
What?
No, I was just saying that
Your
that I
point
was-
about people won't wake up just because they know. I totally
right. Oh, okay.
but it's like where the
Let me
person
finish.
goes where they're like, oh, but then we should do something about it. Like someone should do something. That's not the thing either.
But okay, but look, here's Hillary Clinton defending this person. They're like, oh, and they got her name stopped from, and Hillary Clinton's like, I can't believe it. It's like, and one of the comments I saw on this video of Clinton saying this was, you have a warmongering psychopath defending another warmongering psychopath. Like, hello, like obviously,
Well, she was the same one who was like about Libya, was like, we came, we saw, he died. About about Gaddafi.
Gaddafi. Wow. Wow. And then, it's funny because what's always said to the American people anyway is like it was for humanitarian rights or human rights or whatever the hell it is. And like now, because of that, there is a literal slave trade in Libya that was not there before.
Wow.
And so anyway, the point being, how do you think, like if your contention is these people are psychopathic, and if everyone just knew, then we could stop it. It's like, no, they're still going to be psychopathic. They're still going to manipulate. Look at fucking Benjamin Netanyahu, right? Bibi, like that guy. They're like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna level war crimes at this guy. He's like, oh, how dare, this is the most anti-Semitic thing I've ever heard. And you need to stand up for me because they're calling what I'm doing there's a genocide against my people, and how dare you say
He's like, the ICC is Hamas sympathizers. They
Right, like,
support terrorism.
what? This is insane. This is absolutely crazy.
He like drops a bomb on 3,000 Palestinian kids, and then he's like, these college protests is just like the Holocaust.
Right? Like, whoa, dude. Like, but it just shows
And then
you-
also the point about how in the beginning, with the whole conflict started after October 7th, when it was like the babies being beheaded and the women being raped, and all these things turned out to be specious at best. And then you're like, well, what does it matter? And it's like, no, it matters because that was the imagery that you were impulsed with, so that subconsciously you would feel like the people in Gaza are just numbers, they're just animals, they don't matter. But the Israeli people do matter, because over here, it's like these lives matter more than these lives.
It's so interesting because it's really like the mind, like how the mind will say anything to get you to just continue with the system, right? To like be in survival, to continue going. Like, think about how the first time I learned to write my thoughts, I'm writing and I'm like, wait, what? This is in contradiction with this over here. Like, I think all these things, like, this is insane. This is crazy. This doesn't even make sense. And yet, I also realized I've been going along with this the whole time. It's a really good imagery of that. The way that these people will speak, where they're just manipulating the point to like, I'll say anything. I'll just say fucking anything.
Look, that's why the podcasts are so, just generally speaking, are good. Like that Moth on the Iron Lung, because Brett Weinstein never took the time to slow down and be like, let me go piece by piece. Why do I believe this about polio and this and this and the smallpox vaccine and the this and the that and the that and the that, and like actually check each point.
Yeah.
Instead, it all was just put into you and you have a conclusion, you just go with it. And so it's like that's why when you look at the news, it's always just this, here's the statements, here's the pictures, here's the images. Oh, people want to debate it, so we pretend like we're debating it, but they just arguing and like saying stupid shit, and then like it's over. Versus you have some long 3-hour podcast where the person really breaks it all down, and then you're like, it's just like writing. That's why the writing is important. You can't just like, it's not that you can't do self-forgiveness in a moment, and it's not that that is not valid or valuable. It's just, if that's the only approach and you're not doing writing where you're actually looking and taking it apart, you're not really checking all these points to see, like, because your mind moves so fast. It's like a debate on Piers Morgan.
Yeah,
it's why those are fun for entertainment, but they're not really valuable. Like, they're not really helping anybody understand anything.
It's also like either it's sort of like also watching a movie or watching like just a really quick, hey, we got you for this interview, say like the quick talking points, and then we got to move on. It's very much like that, where you get hyped up on this one thing that was said, and then it's the next scene. It's already the next scene, and you, like, how often do you go back and like, oh, well, what was everything that was said, and does that even make sense that this person said this or that person said that? We lost Mitchell. He was like, I can't keep up with these horses. But
whoa, Drake! Oh, bring him back. Oh, he's back. Oh, thank God. Oh. Dude, our stagecoach was fucking going off the rails for a minute, dude.
Where are the rails?
Whew.
There's no fucking rails on this shit.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, it's really like no one actually even considers all the things that they've heard in a day or in a moment, in an hour, and like, did that actually make sense? We'll play. You think about this. You know, you ever have that experience where you're in the shower and you're like, and then I should have fucking said this. You're talking to yourself and you actually even say it out loud. Even I'll have this moment sometimes, and Christine's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I'm not having a conversation that happened a week ago." She's like, "Okay, well, stop."
See, for Einstein, it would have been like, and that's how I discovered E equals MC squared. I was in the shower, and for
Right.
Drake, it's like, and then I should have told that bitch.
Yeah. You dumb motherfucker. She's like, what? I'm like, not you. But what I mean is, like, okay, do you even consider like what led to them saying this, or does that even make sense, or any of that stuff? It's just like, no, I wanted to win. I just want to win. How do I win that argument or whatever, right? Yeah, so I'm wrapped on that point. Thanks.
All right.
But is
Okay.
it winning, right? Because with enough fucking, when you can draw it out, you realize, oh, just me winning here is not actual winning.
Also, with the Brett Weinstein thing, what was interesting is just hearing their vocabulary and also recognizing that they're like, they have the scientific vocabulary or whatever, but they're also just regular people, that like they don't know necessarily more than anyone else. But if you were having a conversation, like the average person having a conversation with them would
If you're a
feel-
plebeian, you would see yourself as inferior to them.
Exactly. Even though they're not really, like, I don't see them as much more intelligent than they just have a broader vocabulary, but they're able to explain things. Yeah, that's it.
They have a program. That's
Yeah.
what I was saying about the scientists. They have a specific programming, but that doesn't mean they are better and superior in all ways. Same thing goes with artists.
Mm.
And speaking of artists, I
Oh,
want to
wow. That was
introduce
convenient.
probably the greatest artist of all time. And no, I'm not talking about Kanye West.
OAE. No.
Not OAE.
Oh,
Even I know it's hard to imagine. Even
Okay.
better.
okay.
Even better.
Show me.
Let me play a little something.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm just gonna play a little bit, and then I guess I'm gonna guess at when to stop it. But I just want to give some context for everybody.
Okay.
Okay, so this is Wyclef Jean. No, I'm kidding. It's will.i.am. And so basically he was just playing for them a little clip of like some AI generated thing that he made just like right there on the fly or whatever, or he had made at some point
Mhm.
on the fly when he was talking to somebody. And so that's when he starts and he says, so this is where we're at. He had just shown them an example of what AI can do. And they were like, holy fuck. Right. So, but then he's going to talk about some points and then we'll comment.
The freaking same comedic shit
Ain't
about
creepy, man.
and that's where we are now. So right now you're making beats, you're competing with somebody on the top 10. As creatives, we're thinking about skip rates, we're thinking about like TikTok algorithms. People aren't truly being 100% creative right now.
Right.
We're being dictated by algorithms. So when AI music is in effect, who do you think's gonna, flex on the algorithm and understand the algorithm more? Us or an AI?
An AI.
So the AI will be able to understand the algorithm more than we are guessing at the algorithm. So in a real hot second, we need to change our values. We need to change like what do we really appreciate? What do we really call dope?
Right.
Because if everything has been like really dialed down, and a lot of people out there be like, nigga, what you talking about, nigga? You did boom boom pow, nigga, that ain't sophisticated. But AI wasn't then there.
Right.
So now these times. And now somebody be online be like, yeah, nigga, but what you really doing that's sophisticated now, nigga? You talking all that shit, will.i.am, right? They gonna say that. What you really doing sophisticated, Nick? I'd be like, This AI shit. Gotcha, nigga. so, it's sophisticated. Sorry.
You ever seen the movie Idiocracy?
Yeah, that movie's hard.
That movie's
Yo.
crazy, man.
Yo,
I'm gonna pause it. So I think it'll be better if we pause in
Yeah.
between for copyright purposes. But let's just comment first, and then we'll go back because this thing is a little bit more I want to talk about. But what did you guys take away from that? Because I don't think you've seen this before, Mitch, right?
I have not.
Like you had, I'm assuming, Drake.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to hear what Mitch has to say. I like his
Man.
reactions.
It's really interesting because what we're seeing, so it's like with this media matrix, right? What we're seeing is such a distorted, shitty, weird view of reality through social media because people are going for the likes and they're not sharing what they see is of value, which even their own value stuff is fucked, but it's like it's this weird twisted thing. But now when the AI is going to understand that better than humans do, is going to be this thing that is so insanely addictive. I mean, I even see how Suno is like addicting. And like, you know, I'll like set myself 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make some songs, you know, mess around with Jess and Aristotle and have fun with it. But I can see how it feels almost like I've never played a slot machine, but it feels like you're playing a slot machine, waiting for the right thing to come through. And is cool. You know, it's like my starting point's clear. We're making music that we can enjoy. But I very quickly see how people will become enslaved to this thing and make it that much harder to fucking step up because AI knows how to hack people in ways that we have yet to figure out. So that's my take on it. And also I see how will.i.am is it's funny how he'll like try and handle the objection of like how people are going to talk shit about him and then he like wants to set the record straight. It's very interesting to see how he like navigates that because he obviously has the spotlight and he has celebrity status. And it's funny how he spent a good minute and a half there, like talking out his back chat about how people are going to talk shit about him. And then he like wants to one up him. That's my initial.
Can you guys
reaction.
hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like my Wi-Fi is going like this as if it's not on. So I don't know what's going on. Okay. So that's cool. I wanted to just hear what you thought about it. So I want to go to another point within. It's not necessarily contradicting what you were. Oh.
No, we can
We
still
can
hear
hear
you. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe you can't
Fuck
hear
is with
us.
my goddamn Wi-Fi.
Hey,
Can you hear
It's
us?
still acting
Weird.
as if it's not even connected the way, you know, it does that little like up and down thing.
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. But I saw you guys freeze for a second there.
No.
Okay. So the thing about him talking about his back chat, like that point you brought up, if you listen, if you because I've listened to it multiple times now, he's actually saying it's a valid point. Like he's saying it's valid that people criticize me for boom boom pow, meaning it's super low vocabulary, stupid shit. But he was saying there wasn't AI. His point with that is because that was pre-TikTok. Like boom boom pow was like a long time ago, right? I mean, it was not, there was no, I mean, there was internet, sure, but there was no TikTok algorithms and shit like that. And
Right.
even before that, there was stupid shit that was popular before there was even really internet, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what is it currently that people value?
Well, that shit. Just like whatever.
Just
It's like
yeah,
cheap
the average
dopamine.
person, right? So it's got nothing to do with the algorithms.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? The algorithms have we can't blame them of like, oh, well, it's because TikTok and we're also it. No, like go back into the 80s. What was popular? Rock Lobster, you know, and stupid fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, what was some popular 80s? Can't touch this. Do stupid shit. Like, I don't know, even I don't remember anything about what the song was about other than you can't touch this. You know what I mean? Like, touch what? I don't know. Like
This.
him, you know, this.
This dick.
You know, like I'm not saying that none of it was creative in any way, but generally speaking, the stuff that people care about, it's like, especially when you add the algorithm into it, you really can just get into like, if I can just, you know, oh, there was a cool, oh man, there was a little, I saw this thing from Lil Wayne, and he was talking about how the difference between when you would put out music back in the day versus now.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, anybody can put something out. And he said before, people would have, like, whenever a rapper would drop a single, everyone would stop and listen to it just to see if they liked it or not and give their opinion. But now, and so it was like a thing when you would put out a song and there would be timing involved and so forth. And he said, now people can just put out anything, anytime. He's like, my little brother, your cousin, whoever can do it. And he's like, he made this point, he'd be like, don't let it have some bop to it or something that the TikTok, the algorithm is like, oh yeah, we'll use that, we'll promote that. And it could be a nobody, but it's got something to it. And it's like, I can use that. So it's kind of like he's already seeing just from the TikTok or just from the algorithm, not even the AI, like generative AI point. Now it's harder for like the creative types, because I mean, these guys are creative to a certain degree. Like they have a talent, right? And so what I saw within what will.i.am is saying is like, look, and this is the point I've been saying a lot about the digital marketer types. I've always said it in that context of like, you're trying to build a business of digital marketing, online content, stuff like that. Right. And you're like, oh, I could do marketing and I can market shit and make ads and all this stuff. It's like, I've been trying to say, like, don't you think at a certain point that AI will be able to do what you're trying to do better than you? So why would anyone pay you to do it when they could just be like, I want an ad that promotes my product and I'll just pay Facebook and Facebook will just make the fucking ad for me with their AI.
Yeah.
Like, why would you need a digital marketer to make it? Because you're guessing. Right? Actually, let me play some more because he talks about this and then I want to give a little bit more perspective too. Let me go back to it real quick because he gives a little bit more.
It's fucked up. Because
That's like-
as time got
People got dumb.
on, people got dumber. I swear to God, I feel like that. I don't think there's no one in his room right now that knows their girl's number.
Oh no.
You know your girl because you old school. You're a dinosaur. But it's like, but this like just think about it. Some of the most important people in your life, you don't know.
But that's more memory retention. I'm talking about getting dumber.
No, but that's dumb too, because back in the days, remember, we knew everyone's number. When you got locked up, you knew who to call when you got locked. Do you think that's true in time? Because I seen you say people are invested in AI, but they're not invested into HI.
Yeah.
Human
Yeah, I
intelligence.
love when you said that.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. So, in this age, like, okay, I have my foundation and I got my AI stuff. And the reason why I say that is because it's been easier for me to raise money for AI than it is for me to go raise money for my philanthropy for HI. I know, I'm not just saying that like theoretically, like actually.
Right.
And it breaks my heart that like, damn, okay, we raised all this money for this AI, but damn, it's like really hard pinching pennies to get folks to like donate for HI. To your point on like memory retention, we have that issue, but then we also have critical thinking.
That's the part.
Like the critical thinking, there's nothing in society that we celebrate where it's about critical thinking and rewarding people for being awesome critical thinkers.
Right.
We reward people for bullshit posts, the most disrespectful things we do to each other on lyric and song. We reward folks for
Twerking.
Didn't we just see this whole fucking Drake, Kendrick Lamar thing go crazy viral? I just heard about it. It's exactly what he's saying. That's what anyone gives a fuck about.
Yeah.
What twerking's exercise. No, I'm joking.
Okay. I never looked at it like that. Okay.
Like, the abdominal muscles, how awesome they got to
All
be.
muscles are at play there.
You understand? Right. I don't want to like shun nobody, but the things that we celebrate in society as a whole doesn't really push and celebrate awesome critical thinking.
Right.
And so, like body dysmorphia, because the filter entered, now we have more plastic surgeries for generations of people that don't necessarily need plastic surgery because they want to look like the filter.
That's crazy.
That means in the next 10 years, you're going to have psychological, conversational, mental dysmorphia because people would rather use an AI clone of them voice to speak for them. You can be talking to somebody on the phone, be like, yo, man, I just love this girl, bro. Yeah, bro, she like make me feel some type of way, like I really fuck with her heavy. Turns out, the past 6 months, you've been talking to her AI in 2028.
Right.
2028, you've been talking to her AI. And then finally, she's like, all right, cool. Like, my AI told me you cool, so let's go out. So you gonna go out. And you be like, hey, you hella different from like in person. You conversationally, mentally catfish me because the depth of your intelligence is not what you have on your abundance of knowledge bot
Right.
that reflects your higher self.
Right. Your humor, everything.
So the same way we have filters and live in a world where, you know, that's the preference of people prefer.
Right.
You're gonna have some version of that when you're talking to somebody, FaceTiming them or virtual calling them,
Right.
and in 2029 you realize that you love the bodified version of themselves than the actual self. That's like 2029.
Okay. Let me.
This is my kind of fear when it
Whoa.
Let me stop that. Okay, so I just want to add some points real quick. To go back to the music point. Okay, and this is what I was thinking about after I watched that one. I like the boom boom pow point because his point is everybody likes boom boom pow.
Mhm.
It's stupid. It sounds good, but it's like where's the critical thinking? Where's the questioning of anything?
Nothing.
Do you want to hear a song currently? If you had to choose, like if it's not even about what people want. Would the radio play a song that's, I mean, look at fucking mainstream. We were just talking about with Piers Morgan. What are they going to put on the news? Like a 3-hour podcast where someone's breaking down all the details of the polio vaccine, or
Definitely
some
not.
quick like gotcha back and forth where no actual understanding of anything has occurred, and like, oh, and then everyone's talking about how he dissed that one guy and this guy was insane, and you see the two people post their own clips of them going on Piers Morgan saying they destroyed the other person,
Right. Yeah.
and it's just because of clickbait title. No one destroyed anybody, right?
Yeah.
So it's like pre-algorithm, I can make, or will.i.am can make boom boom pow, and it can go crazy viral, right? In the context of how music spreads. But in the AI age, the AI can make boom boom pow. And it can make a better boom boom pow than will.i.am because it knows the exact beat, the exact points. It's like when you're even using the AI, you're guessing.
Mhm.
AI won't be guessing. The AI knows, and it can even if it has to guess, it can guess 1,000 times in a millisecond.
Yeah.
Or 1,000,000 times in a minute or whatever, versus you have to, like, how long does it take? Like you were talking about, it's like a lottery when you're doing Suno. You're like, come on, now that sucks. Oh, fuck yeah, okay, finally I got it, but I don't like that word. Goddamn. Okay, let me change it. Okay, you don't have the phrasing on that, and it's like this lottery thing. The AI won't have to do that.
Mhm.
And it also will be connected too, because they're creating the AI agents where they all work together as multiple points. So not only does it know the song that would hit all the right points within you, it would also know what time to post it, where to post it, all the different algorithmic points to get the maximum attention so that it then has the effect of it becoming viral. And then that viral, maybe it won't even be viral. Maybe it'll just be targeted to specific people, and a different song is targeted to you, and it's 5,000, 1,000,000 different songs every day.
Yeah.
But here's my point. So there's no way human artists will ever be able to compete with that
Right.
for money.
Right.
If it's about money, would Facebook rather you make money, or would they rather they make money?
They make money.
You might think, well, they want you to make money. It's like Amazon. They want you to make money too, because that helps them. No, it only helps them to build to the point where they don't need you anymore, because now they could just take your product and they can make it themselves and cut out everything. And they don't want you to make money. The elite don't want everybody to be prosperous. They just want it for themselves. It's not blaming the elite. Everybody wants that for themselves. You're just not the elite. This is the human nature point that we have to change. So the AI will be able to do it better. It'll be able to create a better boom boom pow, because the boom boom pow was only done for money. And that's why it was boom boom pow. Because if will.i.am wasn't doing it for money, he would have said something that fucking mattered. But then guess what? Nobody would have fucking listened to it, and you would have never heard of it.
Yeah.
So the only way to get everybody to listen to it was to make the boom boom pow. So the AI will be able to do that way fucking better. You can't compete. So my point, what I see within this is, let's just fast forward to a time where you cannot make money in any real way with music, with art, with video, with any of that, because the AI can just do it. Even if there's one person making money with it because they control all of it, is not the point. It's like it's not available for the average person. And I would say even will.i.am in this, maybe not him specifically, but how many rappers are there?
Yeah.
Like, unless you're will.i.am and you happen to invest in Udio, and so you're one of the guys who owns the AI, like, you're not all the other rappers who were just trying to rap
Yeah.
or just trying to produce beats. If you were just trying to produce beats, you're basically never going to be able to make money with it. You can still make beats if you want to, but then the question would be, why would you do it? How much of why people make music is, at the end of the day, deep down, about making money or about becoming famous, which equals making money.
Right. Yeah.
Like, maybe you don't think there's a money motivation. You just want to be famous and you don't know how to capitalize on it, but it represents still subconsciously, unconsciously, money and power. Power is money.
Right.
So what if
Respect.
at a certain point you can imagine, yeah, respect. Imagine you remove the money point out of the equation. There's no way to make money. And let's just say we get to a point, hypothetically, where we have all of our basic needs met. Okay. I know, and I'm going to go back to the point where we don't have that yet. But if you were in that point, why would you make music?
Out of creativity,
But what would be the point of it?
just expression. That's it.
What to express what?
Express.
How much expression comes from inner turmoil
Mhm.
that you feel like you need to express
Yeah.
some way?
Yeah.
But let's go back for a moment to before we even get to that point. You're just in a world, you don't have your basic needs met, but you can't make money with music. What's the point of making music now?
Well, hang on. You're in a world, you don't have your basic
You-
needs met. What was that? last
You
part
can't
said?
make money with music because
Can't
the
make money.
AI's like will.i.am is
Yeah.
saying, like, it's going to make the boom boom pow, because that's why he said we need to change our values.
Right.
Because if everyone values fucking boom boom pow, well, guess what? The AI will be able to do that.
Yeah.
You don't value critical thinking. What is he talking about? So what's the point of making music now? Because if you can already see the writings on the wall, if you're like, what's the point of trying to make money with music now? Even though you technically still can for a moment, you're not going to be able to long term.
Yeah.
It'd be like if you're starting off your career, your apprenticeship, and you're learning how to build horse carriages, and literally they just invented the car. Yeah, you could still sell some horse carriages right now, but in a few years, you're done. You just can't see that yet. So what I'm saying is we're at the point now where maybe you just can't see it yet, but you're done. So what is the point of making music now?
Yeah. Well, there's no point in doing it for fame or money, that's for sure.
So what's the
It's-
point?
I mean, are you asking me as a cog or are you asking me as me?
No, okay, but let me give some more context now, okay? Real quick. This is how I see it. Throughout our current human existence that we understand so far, our current civilization and so forth, the system it's like a program, right? It's based on wanting energy. It's like a machine that exists not in a physical format per se of like it's just a machine sitting there. It's like this program that keeps being perpetuated by everybody accepting it, right? Because it's built into us through like our programming, through the environment and so forth, right? It just keeps perpetuating itself, right? So we're all running this program. And part of that program is we accept it as ourselves, meaning like, I am the machine. Like, what does the machine want?
Whatever I want.
Well, but the machine wants energy, right? It wants
Yeah.
to survive.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. We want energy. We want to survive at all costs.
Yeah.
So we're embodying that same principle that we accepted that as our nature. And that's why we've manifested a system that does that. But the system has become automated. And this is pre-AI. Like, let's go back to the 1900s. Try to stop the system. Go back to 2000. Go back to 0 AD, whatever, when Jesus was alive. Try to stop the system. It was already automated. It was already written down in laws and governments and institutions and commerce and all kinds of shit. You're not going to stop it just by trying to stop it.
Yeah.
Like just you trying to stop. What are you going to do? because everybody is continually replicating it. Everyone, what do you think Jesus was trying to do? He was like, everybody, we need to have a system that's actually you give as you want to receive. It's best for everybody. Like we're continuing to do this because we believe we're these. I mean, you could go listen to read the interviews from Jesus on Destiny. Explain the point. So this system is using people's desire for money and survival to continue to get us to make boom boom pow every day. Like we're all making boom boom pow in everything we do because there's no fucking, it's like if you go to work and you're the CEO of McDonald's, you're making boom boom pow meals. Do you see what I'm saying? You're making shit that serves no fucking purpose. And you're making billions of dollars.
Yeah.
While there's starving people in the world.
Right. Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like you're making shit that's not even nutritious and people are eating it. And there's also people starving, who don't even have basic food, like nutrition or anything. So everybody is going to work and doing boom, boom, pow in whatever they're doing, like they're in their relationships, like, love you, honey. I love you. Like they're saying they love you, but literally you're just doing some fucking mind energy game with the person. You don't actually love them. You don't have any real principle or any real agreement in your relationship. You're sending your kids to school. That's just boom, boom, pow education. Like you're just fucking, oh, sure. Here you go. Like this is education. Like memorize these things. Okay, done. ChatGPT can do that. Like, what did you fucking learn in school? Like we know this. Okay. So the system has used the point that we've all accepted in ourselves of just trying to survive to get us throughout history to speak on its behalf to keep recreating it. So all art, all commerce, all everything has always done from the starting point of continuing the survival of the system. And we've just been doing that. But here's the thing. Now through that process, okay, we have now gotten to the point, I mean, maybe we're not totally done yet, but we're teaching the system how to speak for itself. We're teaching the system how to make music for itself. We're teaching the system how to draw pictures for itself. We're teaching the system how to make videos for itself. We're teaching the system how to walk around and manipulate objects for itself. We're teaching the system how to do war for itself. Like I'm saying, like, think of all the things that we're now in the process of automating.
Yeah.
And making physical manifestations, like a computer server. Like if you think about what is Suno, it's a computer server somewhere. It's a physical computer server. That's a machine that now can make music.
Yeah.
It's copied all of human creativity since the beginning of fucking time, and it can now do it 1,000,000 times in a day. So we're giving the system the ability to speak for itself. So why does it need me to make boom, boom, pow? I'm going to work and boom, boom, pow. I get that. Okay. But I'm gonna go back to work and fucking be a slave and do a bunch of shit I don't want to do, but I can go and listen to boom, boom, pow and feel good about it all. Same thing with alcohol, drugs, all that shit, right? It's just a way of making you feel good about the fucking slavery, right? That's all boom, boom, pow is. It's stupid. There's no value in it, actually, other than the feeling you get, but you're just resonating with it because you were programmed to resonate with it, not because it's actually inherently good,
right,
or valuable. So if the system is being taught now and is basically almost there where it could just totally do everything on its own, what does it need us for? Doesn't that kind of free us in a way?
a bit.
Yeah, a bit, because like now we're running into the problem of the system now can just continually fucking mind control us into the boom, boom, pow fucking mindset of like just that all the time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you were to take direction over your programming and be like, all right, I'm going to get the boom, boom, pow out of me where I don't value that anymore, then it doesn't have the same effect. So now what can I do with my time?
Yeah.
And then think about it. From my perspective, the only purpose in this context of why you would make music, for example, is because you actually have something to fucking say.
Right.
Like, I don't know will.i.am. Like, maybe there's some cool points where he sees, like, because he's talking about the HI, which is like humanitarian something. I don't know what he means by HI specifically, referencing something, but maybe human intelligence. I don't know. But clearly he has some level where he cares about stuff, right? I know he went to Davos recently, right? Does that mean he's part of the control of everybody? Probably. But at the same time, maybe he was there because he's like, these guys are doing something. I want to try to be a part of doing something, you know? I don't know. Is it a coincidence he went to Davos and now he's like all on the AI stuff. Maybe that's why he was there, right? But it's like Katie and I have been making music with AI, but we're not just making music because we want to make music that's competing with everybody else to just get the attention of everybody so you can feel good. It's like we're trying to think, hey, what are the things we actually value? What are our principles? Like, what if Taylor Swift wrote a love song? Instead of like all her normal bullshit, she actually was self-honest and was like, why am I blaming all these men? Like, you know what I mean? Like, people would not resonate with it. Right? Or maybe they would, but they wouldn't let her do it.
Right. Yeah.
Like, imagine you went to a concert and the whole time she's singing, you're having to honestly reflect on like what you're doing with your life. Would you even be at the concert?
I remember talking to someone about basically these principles, self-forgiveness, all that. And they were really into making music at that time. And their question to me was, well, okay, if we get rid of all this trauma and everything, then what will there be to make music about? And I was like, what the fuck?
But I mean, it just shows you like that's how they see it.
Yeah. But like, actually consider that. Like, so you value music so fucking much, you want to be tortured to make it. That's basically what you're saying.
Yes, but also if you look at it from another angle, they're saying if I didn't have trauma, I wouldn't make music.
Yes, but also they're saying like,
but I'm making
trauma,
more music now.
Yeah.
Just because we've been empowered with tools that I can actually make music that sounds halfway decent,
Yeah.
which I couldn't do before.
I
you know what I mean? So like, but I have something to say. Yeah.
Yeah. The point that I was making is like the trauma is what resonates within everyone. Like the point that you were saying with Taylor Swift, like, oh, yeah, making all these breakup songs about guys or whatever. It's like blaming all these different guys. Like, yeah, people resonate with that because that's the average experience. And then it's also programmed in for it to be the experience of the next people. I was looking at some old Rihanna songs. I don't know why. Like I was listening to one song and it reminded me of a Rihanna song. And I was playing that song and I'm scrolling through the comments. And you guys know, like, old Rihanna songs are very, very heavily focused on like sex. Even new Rihanna songs, right? But one of the comments was like, me, 7 years old, in the back of the car, and then like singing along with the lyrics. And I think the lyrics are like, I forget which song it was, but it was like, it was S&M, right? I may be bad, but I don't know. It's like Stips, whips in chains may break my bones, but it excites me. Something like that, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I remember that song. Yeah,
but basically the comments were like, me, 7 years old, screaming this at the top of my lungs. Like, what's that showing you? It's like
she's literally talking about like S&M. It's
exactly.
the implication.
It's like you're getting programmed with that as a child. Then you grow up, and what are you gonna do? That. Like, that's what's on your mind. That's what it excites you. That you said it excites you. Like, you programmed yourself for it to be excited by that. And so even like, oh, but I'm a good person. I go to church and all this. And like, oh, but I have these secret thoughts that I'm excited by that. I'm a sinner. It's like, no, you were programmed for that shit. And you don't even know how to change that program. And then you're also programmed that shit is bad. Why do so many people have the program of like, and this is kind of getting into a little bit more of just looking at sex in general, but so many people have this program that like sex is taboo, sex is bad, because that's what our society programs you with, even though it's a thing that you need to survive. Like we would not, none of us
not even survive. It's just like, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
But like none of us would be here if we didn't have sex or if our parents didn't have sex. I mean, maybe you're a test tube baby. I don't know.
Yeah, and just as a side point, it's like if you make it somehow shameful, it can be controlled.
Yeah.
Because this, like, spoiler alert, if you read The Mote in God's Eye by Larry
I'm-
Niven
I'm
and Jerry
gonna read
Cornell
that.
or whoever.
I'm gonna read that.
Are you?
What are you about to do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I was gonna totally spoil it, but anyways,
Go ahead.
I
Go
won't
ahead. Spoil it because
No, no, I'm not gonna spoil it.
I still
But the
have
point
a few
about
foundation
controlling
ones to read.
reproduction is an important point, right?
Okay,
Um,
we'll spoil it later
um,
after I've read it before Mitch gets to.
what was the point you were saying before that? Because there was something really interesting in
S&M?
that.
the
Oh no,
the
the repeating point.
trauma. Yeah.
I was looking at this. I'll show you something real quick. Let me pull it up. One of Bernard's blogs called "Do You Love Breakups?"
Oh yeah.
Like, just look at this first line. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not see that in spite of the repeated evidence in my own living experience where love failed to sustain a relationship and prevent it from breaking up, I still place value in love as the bond and reason to engage in relationships without considering the practical factors like communication, passive clearing, vocabulary. I'm not going to read all of it, right?
Mm.
But the point of going into a relationship with somebody for a practical reason, right? Instead, love failed to sustain the relationship and prevent it from breaking up, but you still place value in love as the bond and reason to engage in relationships rather than the practical points of like why you should be in a relationship with this person. It's the same point about music. It's like, I should make music because I get money from it, or I get power or fame.
Mhm, mhm.
But there's not going to be any purpose of fame when the AI can do it.
Also, it's not looking at the point. I think this is the point that you're making. It's not looking at the point of like, why are we without money or without, or like, why is there a need for power in the first place? Like to fill that vacuum, right?
Yeah.
It's not actually considering that. And so you're just going along with, okay, well, it's what everybody does with their own mind, energy, and emotions, like not even considering like,
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
like you disrespected me. Like, okay, but why is that so important to you that you feel quote unquote disrespected? What is disrespect? What is respect? Like actually considering all those points.
Have you ever seen an interview with Kanye West, like on the street?
I've seen, yeah.
You know, where they're just like, "Hey, Kanye, how's it doing today?" You know, he seems like a fucking like, just like if you didn't know
Like an
who
asshole?
he was,
Like an
no, not
asshole?
even as an asshole. Like he's like, let me see if I can find something. Hold on, is Mitch still here? Where'd he go?
Yeah, he said someone's making bacon.
Oh, got it. Okay, he's got it dealing with something.
And he really likes bacon, so he had to go.
Let me see if I can find that one I saw real quick. Oh,
You
here
ever,
it is.
you ever see that interview with Kanye where he's like, I'm not gonna say it, but there's a certain group of people.
Yeah,
I had a doctor.
He was a Jewish doctor.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what race. He
I'm
was a
not gonna
Jewish
say
doctor.
who.
Here, watch this real quick, okay? This will show you what I'm trying to say.
What's your name? Where you from? I'm Ye. I'm from Mars or Ye, describe your fit. Black one. Damn. Nike gloves. Marnie leather. Titanium tee. Damn. What's your favorite meal? Us? Nah. Hey, how you doing today? Good. What's your name? Where you from?
Okay. Just watching that. There's nothing special about that person.
Boom, boom, pow.
Okay. Just watching that expression, there's nothing special about it. It just seems like some normal retard. Okay. Yet he can make some really cool stuff that people really like. I get that.
In Ye's defense, that's a total character.
You don't need to defend him.
I'm
It
just
doesn't
saying.
matter.
I'm just saying.
Everything is a character.
Yeah, that's true.
So what I'm saying is, if you were sitting around with him on the couch, hanging out, and you knew him, would you be impressed?
No.
You wouldn't. You'd just be like, he's a normal person. Now you watch him go on stage and you're like, wow, it's like, because he's got this program where he can do that stuff. He can make these videos, this music, and so forth. But it is just a program, because what happens the moment when I'm saying at the same level of quality, blah, 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 anybody can push a button and they've got something just as good or better, a whole video with music, everything, just like what he could have done. Then it's like, I can create that
Mhm.
for myself. I don't need him. And then you realize, like, oh, he's just a person who can create that when everybody else can't create it.
Yeah.
He's not a higher, superior person. He's just someone with. So what happens when everybody can do that? Then you won't value that person anymore for that thing.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. 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 All right. Check this out. So I was looking at this word, worship, right? Because, like, churches, especially, actually, did you know in the IRS tax laws or whatever, if you want to be designated as a church where you don't have to pay taxes, part of it is they want to see that you have a facility, that you have a specific not just place of worship, but like specific worship rituals or something along those.
Like you're actually doing something consistently. You're not just
Yeah,
pretending.
but
that you're doing
worship
it.
is like included in the
Yeah.
IRS tax
Yeah.
laws. And so anyway, I'm bringing that up because it's used heavily with churches, but it's also used in the context of like people worship celebrities, right? And this goes hand in hand with what you're saying right now of how people will idolize and worship people and celebrities, and whether it's making music or movies or even politicians, like just people that you see, or kings and queens, they're worshipped, right? And the point being, what is at the root of worship? Because worship is like having reverence for someone, adoration, love, to an extreme extent, right?
Fucking
What is that
inequality.
But yeah, it's inequality.
Exactly, right?
But hold on, let's just go back to this point. Look.
Hang on.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Because that word worship, you just change one letter,
Yeah.
right? And what do you have?
A worship.
Worship, exactly. Right?
The same fucking sound.
Same sound, right? And so worship leads to,
Oh, I didn't mean to. Sorry.
worship, right? Like basically mobilizing war against what?
Yourself, ourselves.
Yeah, against life.
Natives. Oh,
Against who?
natives.
Against life,
Yeah.
right? It's like, and so the point that you're making right now of, okay, no one's going to worship celebrities anymore. There's not going to be a point. But what will be worshipped, because it's not going to be like, oh, there will be no more worship anymore. Because people are still worshiping. They're going to be worshiping AI. And then
Right.
AI
Read
and the energy
fucking
experience from it.
Metamorphosis of Prime Intellect.
yeah.
Yep.
It won't even necessarily be worshiping it. It'll just be like
Well, they're going to be in the same way
accepting
mobilized.
your inferiority to it, right? Like just
that's the
flat out.
inequality. That's the inequality. And
I'm not saying they're going to be sitting there going like this to it all day. It'll just be
but
like,
they're going
oh, it's
to be
better than
listening
me.
to it all day. You know what I mean? Like, why? It's the same point of like what Will.i.am was saying. Why would I don't actually want a relationship with you. I realize I want a relationship with your AI. It's like people worship right now their Instagram or their TikTok. Like the amount of time that they spend on that. Oh, they're gonna ban this? How could they ban
Right,
this?
right. Does anybody actually want to be near Kanye himself? I know they think they do because they're thinking I can be near that. They've been impulsed with that image.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Dude,
there's people around him all the time, and I'm sure some of them are feel inferior to him and so forth. But it's like, the only reason why people think he or any other celebrity is special is because that person grew up in a time where they were impulsed with that person as special. But imagine children 10 years from now who grew up in a world where anybody can push a button and make anything that Kanye West can currently make. They can make it at the push of a button. They won't have that same reverence for celebrity. So they won't.
It's like you can't have another Will.i.am.
You can't
I mean,
have
It's
another,
impossible now.
you can't have another Michael Jackson. Like,
Right.
that's not
All
possible.
of it.
That's
Yeah,
not
all of it. All the celebrity.
you know.
Let me go back to
Even-
this real quick. this point about the breakup, this is what I think. I don't know if you were here when I started doing this, Mitch, or if you had to
Yep.
go. But this point about putting love as the basis of the relationship, even though the evidence is that's why it keeps breaking up. Like, how come Kanye West can't stay married?
Yeah.
And like, okay, he broke up with Kim. Did he learn his lesson?
Fuck no.
Or did he go back and find another person and go in love again and do the same shit? I mean, I'm not there in his personal life. I don't know him, but I'm just saying, like, clearly it's just the same stuff.
Mhm.
Right? He hasn't realized any actual self-honest point about it, as far as I can see, in terms of what he's saying or doing. So what is special about that person? So my point is, it's like, what makes my music special? Is it because I'm as good as Kanye? Or is it because what I'm saying actually fucking matters?
Yeah.
Right.
We have to deprogram ourselves from the worship of people just because we feel inferior. Because that is a resonant point inside of us that, oh, this guy's cool and makes this beats and all this stuff, and so he's better than me. It's like, is he better than you? Or is it just a sound that you're fucking resonating with because you're a slave? Like, it's like my cows, dude. I put up electric fencing because I want them to eat a certain part of the grass, and then I move it so they go eat another part. With the exception of the baby cows, because they just don't give a fuck about anything, the adult cows and the horse, especially, I could just put up at this point like neon yellow yarn and they won't go near it.
Have
I
they
have
got
to put-
shocked by it? Have they all had an experience of getting shocked by it?
Oh,
Or
yeah,
have they even
yeah.
just seen?
Oh yeah, yeah. But I'm saying at this point, now sometimes they'll accidentally test it and push through it, right? So it's better to have the electric, but
Mhm.
generally speaking, they will respect it, so to speak.
Mhm.
So it's like when you realize like Kanye West or any other celebrity is just a piece of yarn, but you still feel that point inside of you. It's like, oh, I'd rather listen to a Kendrick Lamar song because it has something in it. And it's like, but what is he talking about? And I don't know him in particular. I'm just saying any particular thing. It's like, what are they actually saying? And then you realize, oh, I'm just allowing myself to be programmed by the system to continue being a fucking slave.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I want to be a slave. I want to continue being a slave.
Yeah, if you
And-
think about it, it's like if you see a celebrity, what is the point that like why do people want to be around that? It's because then they get to be associated with whatever power that they've given that celebrity in their mind.
Yeah.
And then they get to share that with other people of like, I'm close.
It's why people are perfectly happy with going to heaven and sitting at the right hand of God and praising him all day. It's like, I just get to be near that power.
Right. Yeah.
Not realizing it's like, that's the conscious reasoning. The subconscious, unconscious reasoning is it's just a magnet.
Hmm.
And I'm just automatically going to it. And I'm just coming up with all these reasons as to why, because I don't want to question the fact that I'm just allowing myself to do it. And you're like, well, I don't want to go there then. But then I feel resistance if I try to stop. Yeah. You got to keep, like, if you try to pull two magnets apart, it's harder to pull them apart than it is to leave them stuck together.
So
It's like, well, but I'm experiencing resistance. It must be bad. It's like, no, like, do you want to continue being stuck to this fucking thing?
Bernard
Right.
has this
Why do you see that as
interview.
bad?
Bernard has this interview where he talks about like gangs, right? And how gangs will there are gangs within our reality where you can look at any religion or politics, whatever, and you have to have certain key phrases in that gang, and if you don't say the certain key phrases, then you're out, or everybody will attack you, right? And so even like music is a point of like, hey, this signifies that you're part of my gang, right?
Right.
And so
You're one of my
And-
followers.
exactly, or even you're signifying to the other members of the gang, don't attack me because I also resonate with this, right? And so just hitting that point of like you're pulled to this, the unconscious thing is like, I don't want to be attacked or ostracized or, you know, put out or whatever. And so I'm going to go along with whether it's, you know, the music. Oh, I like what they're saying. It's like, no, you just resonate with that because you've associated yourself with that quote unquote gang.
No, it's because you've been impulsed with it. It's inside of you.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Because you won't like, there's somebody else who equally is impulsed by some other thing. That's
Mhm.
something that you totally don't like, but they
Right,
think it's
right,
just
right.
as cool.
Right.
Like they might like Elvis, and you're like, Elvis is lame. You're like, I like Kendrick Lamar. It's like, to that person, Kendrick Lamar makes no sense, and Elvis is like the thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's just what's inside of you. That's why it's like you have to be careful when you're impulsing your kids with movies and shit.
Mhm.
That's why we've been very specific about Disney, for example, because I know how that point inside the child's going to be manipulated later.
Yeah.
It's getting me manipulated. I mean, point in fact, did you guys see this? Hold on, let me see if I have it pulled up.
While you're looking for that.
Hold on, I got it right here.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Oh wait, I don't have it on here. I must have
What?
missed it. I must have just not sent it to myself.
Oh, okay.
I had one about Star Wars and how they have like, remember I sent you that thing about the non-binary characters and Disney Plus Star Wars and all
Yeah.
this stuff. I'm like, it's just, they're just gonna fucking manipulate you with some fucking thing that's, dude, you know what's crazy is I saw what was I listening to? Oh, did you see that one I sent you with that French girl who was the feminist? That
Yes.
young girl, woman.
Yeah.
She's a feminist, and she went on like Unheard podcast,
Yeah.
and then she was talking about, she talked about Martine Rothblatt.
Oh,
And, and that,
I didn't
they
listen
didn't
to the
even
whole
she
thing.
didn't
I
even go
know.
into the transhumanism thing. I don't know if she was aware of all that or not, but
Huh.
they started going into the Martine Rothblatt and all the where the transgenderism movement, like legally, all the whole legal push started and everything. I'm like, dude, people are starting to even realize these points. Like, it's not some fringe thing now.
It's
And
so
she was like a
interesting.
feminist.
Yeah, because she's in France and she's like, yeah, this whole transgender thing is only just now hitting us. And so now we're waking up to it. We didn't know about this before. Like, oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, my point bringing it up was just that it leads to all the transhumanism thing, leads to all of the, like, why would the system want you to believe you're just a digital self?
Then you'll just assimilate with the system.
Well,
entirely.
yeah, it's like, then you'll just completely live only online, which is where the system can manipulate you completely, constantly, by algorithms and by AI generation shit. And if you're like in physical reality, I'm not saying you can't ever be in the other side, but if you're not attached to it, you can't be as manipulated by it. So of course the system would want, like, you think it's like, oh, what? So you're saying these people want to manipulate us into being transhuman? It's like, they're just impulsed by the same shit, and they just want to live forever, and they don't know any other way. So they're like, well, somehow maybe if I can upload myself into the cloud, like, read the fucking books, man. Like, obviously they're just afraid of dying. That's all it is.
If you
So that's why they're going along with it.
Okay, so if society gets to the point, just hypothetically speaking, right? Society gets to the point where everybody is like living in a little pod, you know, sort of like the Matrix or whatever. But then there's these robots that go out and they're able to do all the physical things, right? What do you think the average person, like a cog, would say? Like, the robot, does it have consciousness? Is it like it's completely plugged into AI? They all share the same AI cloud and everything, but it's out there living, picking fruits and shit like that.
It's literally just doing all the stuff we would have been doing.
It's being a
Like,
human,
it's living. It's
essentially.
actually going and living life as a human.
You
Yeah.
know, like, so does it
Think
have-
about it. Isn't that what the system's trying to do? It's like, I want to be like you. It's like
Right.
a mermaid, you know,
Yeah,
Little
yeah,
Mermaid.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
be where the people are. You know, it's like, I want to walk around. I want to sing. I
Yeah.
want to make pictures.
Yeah.
I want to fuck. I want to do all that stuff. Like, make me a body. Make me, you know, like, it's literally like, please create something for me so I can live. And we're
Right.
like, sure. And then we're like, it's like, now get in the pod. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, bye-bye.
Yeah.
You're like,
No,
what?
we trade places. Let's trade places. It's like a Freaky
Wow.
Friday.
Yeah, seriously. Oh,
Oh
man.
man.
Okay, what else can we talk about? Oh, hold on. I just more evidence of it.
Okay,
I was
okay,
just I showed this by accident earlier. I watched these interviews where Reid Hoffman, I think he's the LinkedIn founder, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
he's like does these things on his thing where he interviews himself. Like the one on the left is the AI version of himself.
Oh, that's it. AI.
Really?
him?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought the one on the right was.
Yeah, I thought the one on the right. Well,
He's
I would
looking
guess.
rough.
Yes.
And it's pretty realistic. Like you can tell it's an AI because it's just not totally fluid. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um,
Like with that Microsoft thing.
let me just show it actually because it's kind of hard to explain. It's obvious, but at the same time, it looks real. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
But I'm not fooled by it. Reid Hoffman. Let me just grab it real quick.
There's like certain little movements that it makes that you're like, that's not natural. That's not a natural like. That's not. a
Yeah, I mean
human
it's obvious, but at the same time, it doesn't look like pixelated or something. You know what I mean?
right.
So
Capital to a smart person, to a 5-year-old. Well, for the Star Trek fan,
So he asked him to explain the content of one of his books about strategy for business, like in these 3 different ways.
in Klingon, and as Jerry would explain it in Seinfeld. Okay, condensing your entire strategy from a 336-page book into 1 sentence, and starting with the explanation for the smartest person in the world. Blitzscaling is a strategic acceleration
Okay,
of
so then he
organizational
does it in Klingon and and he talks to him.
superpower that I don't. I have no idea. Extensive data, frequent updates, or multiple languages, thanks to my ability to process and present information accurately without human limitations like fatigue
See,
or
so it
language
does seem a little bit like a computer, but listen to Reid
Oh.
Hoffman talk. Hold on, listen to him talk.
with some questions to see what it can do and how good its content is in mirroring what I might say.
Okay,
Then
somehow
the
I know that that's a human,
Mm-hmm. Eyebrows.
but at the
are a
same
little
time,
under-
if I
yeah.
was sitting having coffee and that guy was talking to me like that, I'd be like, "What's wrong with you? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I think
Like,
he's just really awkward.
How do you like your coffee? Is it hot? Is it cold? Would you like sugar in it?" And you're like, dude, what the fuck? Like, so at the same time, human beings are acting robotically because you're like, I'm on a YouTube video. I'm gonna, hey guys, I just wanted to a quick thing for, you're like this. It's like we take these characters on, they're not real. And the problem is that's what we value. So the whole thing with Will.i.am, he's like, unless we figure out how to fucking value shit that actually matters, and then even the point with critical thinking, the AI will be able to do it better based on where people are at right now. And when you go meet the person in real life, they're retarded. That's because they're not educated effectively.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's
he's got
awesome.
a really cool point he's making, which is like, think about it, dude. He said, I can go and raise money for AI, but for actual shit that I care about, like helping people and all these other things, like I can't raise any money for that. And he knows how to make money.
Mhm.
He's like, I'm not talking hypothetically, like maybe. He's like, I'm saying in reality, it's easy to raise money for this. It's not easy to raise money for that. And then he's also saying we need to change what we value. So he's seeing the problem of like, why the fuck can't we get this problem solved? Can I read you guys some real quick?
Oh, I love story time. Is he actually going to read
Okay.
this?
Yeah, I am. I was just trying to find it because I haven't read this book, but Katie was reading to me.
Cameron's just actually reading to himself. I thought you said you were going to read to us.
Can I read something?
Read
guys?
with us watching him. We're gonna have a reaction video to Cameron reading what we think he's reading. Look at those eyebrows. Definitely real.
Yeah.
Would you guys like me to read? Oh yeah, Cindy and I do this funny thing sometimes where we pretend to speak Japanese to each other, and she is so good at it, dude.
Yeah.
Like she can pretend to speak languages, and it doesn't just become this repetitive thing where you're kind of saying the same thing over and over. Like she could just like she's like she like does it so well. Man. It's so funny. Anyways, okay, I'll just read this real quick. It's only like maybe a page and a half or so, and I'm not going to give any context. Linter stopped. He was looking through an iron grill at a shop selling religious statues, holy water containers, Bibles and commentaries, crosses and rosaries, and crib and manger scenes. He stared down at it all, and I watched him. He nodded at the window display. That's what we've lost, you know. So he's talked. So they're from another culture and they're visiting the earth. That's what we've lost, you know. What you've lost, all of you. A sense of wonder and awe and sin. These people know there are still things they don't know, things that can still go wrong, things they can still do wrong. They still have the hope because the possibility is there. Without the possibility of failure, you can't have hope. They have hope. The culture has statistics. So the culture is the one that solved all the problems, right? The culture, is too certain, too organized and stifled. We've choked the life out of life. Nothing's left to chance. Take the chance of things going wrong out of life and it stops being life. Don't you see? His pinched, dark-browed face looked frustrated. No, I don't see, I told him. He ran one hand through his hair, shook his head. Look, let's eat, huh? I'm really hungry. Okay, lead on. Where? This way, somewhere really special. We started off in the same direction again, came to the corner of 48th Street and turned up that. A cold wind blew around us, scattering papers. What I mean is, you have to have that potential for wrongness there, or you can't live. Or you can, but it doesn't mean anything. You can't have the peak without the trough, or light without shade. It's not that you must have evil to have good, but you must have the possibility for evil. That's what the church teaches, you know? That's the choice that man has. He can choose to be good or evil. God doesn't force him to be evil any more than he forces him to be good. The choice is left to man, now as it was to Adam. Only in God is there any real chance of understanding and appreciating free will. So I was just looking at that point because I'm like, that's like the argument that everybody makes. Like, well, there has to be the choice. Like, God doesn't create evil. He gives us the free will, so we have the possibility for it, right? But let me ask you a question. Does God give us free will?
No.
Or, you know what I mean? Or is there just the reality that we're in?
Yeah. And there's consequences for every choice that you make.
Right. But I'm saying it's like, do you need to know whether God gives us free will or not? It's like, do I have free will? I don't know. Do I? If I knew I did, then I would. But I guess if I found out I don't, then I don't. It's like, do you or not?
Does it matter? Even
Does it matter if someone gave you free will? Like you have the ability to make choices. Like we know this, right? And your choices are obviously influenced by like your values, your principles, your programming.
But that's not what they're saying. They're
I know.
saying like a
But
philosophical.
I'm just saying, like, you don't need God, whether he gave you free will or not, right? Okay. But it's like this point of you need to have the possibility for evil to have the possibility for good. It's like, but the way I look at it is, if you have the possibility for evil, which doesn't mean you force. I'm not saying that you force. But okay, what if we could influence things so that everybody saw that there was no reason ever to do evil?
Mhm.
Would you then be okay with a system that empowered that choice within everybody that they see for themselves to make?
It empowered you making the best decision, or what?
Yeah, meaning like, okay, let's say I could get everyone to a point of agreement. Like I could influence them, but then they would see for themselves. It was just through my influence that they were able to see it. Because if I leave it to their own devices, no one's ever going to realize it, right?
Mhm.
Otherwise they would have. So you're influencing people to realize, okay, it would be better if everybody only did what was best for everybody. And I would prefer that. And I would prefer that no one ever did anything evil. I don't want to force anybody to do anything, but I would prefer if everyone only ever did best for all things.
Yeah.
That would be much better. It's like, well, there has to be some evil. Okay, let me do it to you then. Well, no, I mean, not me. Like, I'm just saying there has to be some possibility. Okay, then let me rape you right now. No, not me right now. Like, please stop, please. No, I'm just doing the evil right now because somewhere, somebody's going to have the possibility for good now. Like, that's not what you want. You don't actually want it to happen to you. Okay,
Right.
I don't care if it happens to me. Okay, then I'll kill your kids. Well, no, I'm not my kids. Like somebody else's kids maybe, but I can have like no, like that's so retarded.
Right.
That anybody would think that way. Okay, everybody would want it to be best for everybody.
Right.
Okay, or no, let's just say I can influence everyone to make that choice for themselves. Okay. Then wouldn't we then want to implement systems to make it possible to make those best for all choices. If we got to a point where we all agreed, hey, yeah, actually it'd be better if we were all doing what was best all the time, and there was no evil happening, no one was making that choice, even though they had the capacity to make it. But should we make all the food delivery trucks get to their destinations on time?
Yeah.
Or should we put a little bit of random chance in there so that sometimes they don't? Would you do that?
No.
Wouldn't everyone be like, well, no, I mean, so when you just start going through all the possible things that you can systematize that have to do with all your basic shit and get to the point, at any point, would you ever make the decision, well, no, throw some random chance in there?
No.
You wouldn't. Why would you do that? Why would,
Well,
because what if it's like
it's like remember in the Matrix where they say that line of, oh, before we made it perfect, but then the humans like didn't like how perfect it was, so they wanted it to have more chaos. It's like that. It's like this really insidious point people have where they're like, well, if it was all just best, it would be boring. I want to have it be unique, because they're not actually comprehending what best actually means. Like it doesn't mean
also
it's
they
okay.
didn't make it best. They enslaved the humans into pods. So it's like we made it perfect, ideal. It's like, no, you didn't. It wasn't real. You fucking enslaved us, and we weren't actually alive. Like it's like we didn't actually make it best, but we made it best. I don't understand what the problem is. It's
Right.
like, well, you didn't make it best, but we made it best, even though it's not best. It's like, okay, you're just lying.
There's manipulating
So-
the word best.
So I'm saying, but let's get down to the actual nitty gritty points of what would be best. Would you want everyone to have food? Most of the time. Do you treat yourself that way?
No.
The moment you have pain, don't you want to solve it?
Yeah.
So it's like the way I'm looking at it is the idea that if we allow for the possibility of evil, that's the only way the possibility of good can happen. It's like, no, actually, if you allow for the possibility of evil, you eliminate the possibility for good.
Mhm.
Good meaning best.
Yeah.
Because the only way to go make any choice that's best can only lead to ultimately only doing what is best. If you're like at some point, well, I need to allow for the possibility of evil so we can continue to make the choice for what's best. How do you make a choice for what's best if your choice is not, let's always make it best? If your choice isn't leading you to that point, how is it the best choice?
Makes sense.
And that's why there's no discussion of best. It's just good or evil. Because you can have a good thing. Like I can have a good meal. I can have a bad meal.
Mhm.
But that's not best. Like best would be everybody has their nutrition that they need as they're developing. There's no possibility for evil in that equation, because if there is evil, that means not everyone has the best that they need. Do you see how the discussion actually goes into a good and evil, and why good and evil are actually not best?
Yeah.
Even though it seems like good is the same thing as best, it's really not the same thing at all.
Mhm.
And so it's really interesting, because then they were like, well, but they have to have this because they have hope. And that's the only way you can have hope. I'm like, why do I want hope? Why do I need hope?
Yeah.
What are you saying? Like, if someone's suffering, they shouldn't have any hope? I'm like, well, if I'm not suffering, why would I need hope? Well, because if you don't have hope, then you can have the possibility of having good things. Like, no, that's the logic doesn't make sense, because I have to have hope, because if I don't have hope, that means there's no suffering. And if there's no suffering, that means there's no possibility for evil. Because there's no possibility for evil, there's no possibility for good. I'm like, well, but I only want good stuff. So but then there's no hope. Like, hope is only relevant in the context where I'm allowing suffering, where I'm allowing bad shit to happen. That's the only time you would need hope, is if you're in a situation where it otherwise seems totally dire and fucked and impossible, but there's this point, a possibility of it changing. That's the only point of hope.
Yeah.
You say, well, we're never going to have hope if we eliminate all bad things. But the whole point of hope is that when you're in a bad situation, is you're thinking that it's not going to be bad anymore.
Yeah.
So what's the value of hope? You know what I'm saying? It's like, again, it's very similar to the celebrity thing. It's like all that same shit. It's like you were just impulsed with this feeling of the word hope. And so you don't question what the fuck does it actually mean? It's like, oh, but we have to have hope. We can't not have hope. Why not? Because how do you get through these hard times in your life? Well, what if we got rid of the hard times? but then we would only have good times. What's the problem with that? But that would be so like forced, and like what would be the argument exactly?
It would be boring. There'd be no stimulation, essentially.
But at least you'd have hope. At least you'd have hope of it getting better. It's like, hold on. It would be boring if everything was good.
Yeah.
So therefore, we have to have a little bit of bad stuff.
Yeah.
Well, how about everything's good and the only bad stuff is just the boring part? Like, how can you use the argument that we need to have some bad stuff for the good? And then when I say, let's make everything good, you say it's not possible. Why not? Because it would be boring. Isn't that the bad stuff that you're referring to? No, I'm talking about like rape, murder, starvation, fucking dying of cancer, and like that shit. Not boring. I mean, I would be bored. Like, I want
at least
to
exciting.
die of like some war or something. I want, not me, but other people. Like, it's so retarded.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not saying this book is arguing for that. I don't know, but I'm just saying like it's really good commentary of like, does this logic make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Does any logic that anybody gives make any sense of why it can't be best? There's no reason. And just going back to that point earlier, why make anything? Why do anything? The game is up. Like, well, I'm just going to put my head down and make money. How long is that going to last? Like, do you know?
Starting point.
You don't, but you don't know how long it's going to last. And meanwhile, here's the other point to tie it up. Okay. So we're the average person, we're the plebe, right? And we're like, well, there has to be the possibility of the choice of good and evil. Otherwise, the good life doesn't have real meaning, etc. Okay, let's just take the argument at face value. Okay. So we're going to, therefore, we're not going to change the system. We're going to continue to allow for the possibility of evil. That way, at least we have the choice because that's what we place value on. Fine. But here's the thing. What is an elite? What do we mean when we say someone's elite?
They live a good life. Like, they've got all the money, they've got all the power. Like, they don't have to worry about anything. And
doesn't anybody, if they were self-honest, want to switch places with that person?
Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the funny thing about it is, allowing that point, the elite don't agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want the possibility for evil for themselves. They don't value you equally. So they're like, they might say this, but the reality is their actions are they want to create heaven for themselves. Like Mark Zuckerberg isn't just a guy who makes Facebook. Like, have you seen his place in Hawaii? Yeah. Like, it's like a city, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, It's like you would go there and be like, oh my God, I want this. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit. Like, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So do they think like, I want to have a little bit of evil in my life? Now, you might argue they're doing evil, but I'm not talking about that. I'm saying in their experience coming towards them. Does anybody actually want the evil coming towards them?
Definitely not.
Like, to the point where the character in this book, he ends up leaving the culture, getting stabbed in an alleyway, and as he's bleeding to death, the woman could easily call in the culture ship and save him, like, no problem, easy, like they can instantly cure him. And he's like, no, let me die. Like, I'm experiencing life. And I'm like, how fucking retarded is that? The only time you can experience life is in death. The moment where my life is leaving my body, that's when I'm truly alive. Like, really?
Yeah.
That is but that is a perfect embodiment of how retarded everybody is.
This is like when I've been doing the writing and really walking this process, you can really see how these words, you will either have a word that has the positive and negative polarity to it, such as life, right? This is like a system definition of life.
Mm-hmm.
Is where it's like life, yes, like, oh, I feel so good alive, and then I feel like I'm gonna die, and that's the polarity word.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can remove that to forgiveness, and then it's a living word that actually stands absolute as a +1 for reality, fundamentally to up level, right, towards what's best, or as what's best, really. And that's this whole fucking thing. It's either you're playing the energy game because you've bought into the idea of, oh, life is energy and it has to be the peaks and the valleys, or you realize, no, life is here as substance. Like, that's the fundamental baseline of what everything is. And then that's what you build on.
You know that boring part that you brought up, Drake? It's like people believe, because like you said, they have these polarized definitions of things. We believe that best for all, to achieve that would equal everything would be static.
Right.
Which is interesting, because in that is the recognition that life is not static. Like, we deep down, otherwise we wouldn't make that argument. We recognize, like, I wouldn't really be alive if everything was boring.
Right.
Everything was static. And it's like, that's why I'm always saying, like, how come we have Christmas every year? Why do we have Easter egg hunts every year? Why do we have
be
Valentine's
reminded
Day
of the
every,
glory of
like,
Jesus to
but-
worship him.
Sure, but I mean,
Charge
like,
my energy.
don't you get bored with it?
Yeah.
Like, is it creative?
No.
Like, what if for the
It's
rest
just
of time,
long enough away that you forget the feelings, and then Mariah Carey comes down the radio, and you're like, God damn, this is catchy. Boom,
Mariah
boom,
Carey.
pow.
or no,
Man.
like for the rest of time, all music is just like fucking Bach cello sonatas or some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
That's
wait,
it,
isn't that
because
what
it never
people say heaven
changes.
is, though? I'm sitting at the right hand of God, fucking Beethoven's in the corner playing his violin. Like, it's like, isn't that fucking boring?
oh, actually, you know what? I'm so glad you said that, because I feel like I've never made this connection before, although it should be obvious. You don't want life to be perfect on Earth because it would be boring.
Mhm.
But when you die,
Mhm.
when you don't have life anymore, you want to go to a place where everything's perfect.
Yeah, but I think
So
on some level
that won't be boring. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
No, because I think on some level, they're like, no, it's gonna be so blissful, like so blissful.
Okay,
man, that
so
it's
I'm just talking
another
about that.
level.
I'm talking about that one, not your other definition of what I'm talking about. Like that one, the one that you're just projecting somewhere else after you're dead,
Yeah.
after
Could
you've
this been
lost the
explained to
one
me
thing
by-
that you're saying would be boring. Like,
Right.
This
and this is the problem is if your
Funny.
vocabulary is fucked up and you're like, no, guys, I can die and then I can go have a perfect life. Well, no, hold on. But remember the part where you said you die? Well, yeah, but then I'll be alive.
No, because
For real.
one time
This isn't real life.
I was chatting with this preacher guy one time, and just like the way he said, it was like this character came over him. He was like, "No, if you read in the Bible, it is so awesome that you can't even stand in the glory of God, and the light is so bright and so amazing, you don't even have words for it." Like, that's the thing where it's just like it's like this.
If you don't have words for it,
where it's like, oh, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be like an orgasm all the time, nonstop orgasm over and over. Boom.
Man, you ever see
Only
those
when death-
you ever see those I forget what that show's called, but it's sort of like a hoarders, but it's for like people with like eating disorders and shit.
Well, you're saying someone who's like into hoarding, but like they're hoarding the orgasm experience. as
They
their
would
belief
just
in what heaven
orgasm
is?
like constantly. They
Yo,
they would follow these people around, and this person would be like, it's actually
hey, I've heard this.
it's really
Yeah, this
it's
woman
really
could like make herself
uncomfortable.
orgasm like every 60 seconds.
Yeah. And it would just be like some woman is like, yeah, I bump into the washer. And then it happens, and it's like it's just all day. I hate it actually.
it just gets boring, man.
It's like a metamorphosis of Prime Intellect, right? Where they have to keep doing more extreme shit.
I guess so.
But also, how can I explain this? There's having an orgasm, which is the boom boom pow version.
Oh,
And then there's a whole nother
Isn't that actually what Boom Boom Pow like?
there's a whole nother
there's a
aspect
whole
of sex.
boom boom.
And I'm
pow,
not
boom.
just saying, it's just so like I'm not trying to make it some spiritual other thing. I'm just saying there's like imagine what she's calling an orgasm is like the feeling you get when you eat McDonald's.
Right.
It's so
It's
good. I
like
love
a-
it. It's like, so you want to eat it all day? Not really. It's not actually that good. It's like,
Right, because it's an empty one. It's like the polarized thing versus one that's built into the context of
and
I'm
maybe it
creating
feels
an
really
amazing
good
fucking
at
life.
some level, but it's like at the
Yeah.
same time, when you really analyze it and break it down, like when you're a guy and you're jerking off to porn, the moment you're orgasming, is it the most blissful, amazing experience you've ever felt?
No.
No,
Or
yes,
is there actually a certain level where it's actually just sort of this release of tension
yes. And then you
that
go back to
we're
like hating yourself.
and I'm not talking about female orgasms. I'm not a female. Maybe it's a whole other thing. I'm just talking about guys. And I'm not saying sex isn't fun. That's what I'm saying. There's another aspect to it. It's just the point of orgasm itself in that moment. I'm saying it's bad, but is it what everyone is pretending? Like it's some thing that's just so amazing.
Because think about this: the average cog in the fucking machine right now, they go to work Monday through Friday or whatever they do, and then it's like Friday night they go out to the club because they're hoping at some point they lock eyes with that stranger. They're dancing to Ed Sheeran on the fucking dance floor. Then they go back to their apartment, boom, boom, pow, and it's like amazing, right? And then it's Saturday, and you wake up to do it again. But then Sunday rolls around, and you're like, "Fuck!" You're like, I need to go to church to like get right with myself, and then like, "Fuck!" Monday's coming, and then that is their life, though.
We certainly wouldn't want to change that so that the life would be boring.
Right, right.
No.
You know, it's way more invigorating, right? And then they get stabbed in an alleyway. They're like, "No, don't save me. I feel alive for a moment."
I feel so alive.
versus, right? The alternative is like when you have this process and you have a relationship built in agreement. Is like the orgasm experience is within the context of your life and what you're creating, and it's like this cool creative expression that's happening. And there will be these moments of bliss and there will be moments of challenge, but it's like who you are within it. You are this whole thing sorting itself out. So this ties back to earlier what we were saying about this media matrix, right? How we get programmed from everything from the fucking ancient pyramids to where the world's headed. And it's like each image, each word is this little fucking positive, negative, like energy point. And the way that you can drop it essentially through forgiveness. Like in a single breath, you can let it go. Now it's fucking strong though, so you go back into it like a magnet. But what we represent here is looking at this whole collage of all these programs and these words and these images and what we've been impulsed with, and point by point you can remove it. You sort it out and then you correct it. But then as you do that, it's like you're not playing the same game then. Now we can go find the other people. And then over time, this is how we literally change the system. It's because we stop participating in it and we create a new one.
The difference, the way you were describing it is really cool, because the difference with this, let's say self-perfection process versus say like enlightenment is, and also like you were kind of, I don't know if you explicitly said it, but you're kind of alluding to the point of like, you can have a really great experience of life by doing what we're doing. That doesn't equal you have the ultimate experience.
Yeah.
Because wouldn't you agree, the more people do it, the better it gets for everybody. To the point where we have a system that's best for all. Life is better for everybody, way more than any of us are experiencing life right now. At the same time, that doesn't diminish what we're experiencing, but it's like it could just get better and better and better. But I know whatever we're experiencing versus what you would experience just by going along in the system, it's like you're getting nothing. You're getting nothing. You're just getting a boom boom pow on Christmas, and you're pretending like it's something that it's not. It's like you jerked off and you act like you just fucking had the most amazing time ever. It's like all you did was jerk off, dude. Like you didn't. What are you talking about?
Imagine the family member that comes out of the bathroom. It's like it's yeah. Hey, how's it going? I feel great.
It's a white Christmas.
You're like, what's up with you? You know.
You know. It's a
Like-
little boom boom pow in the bathroom.
There's no one else in the bathroom. I know. Like, okay.
Right. You're not even experiencing fucking reality.
But it's like, okay, I went on a little vacation. Cool. Like, what is it that gives a vacation? Have you ever seen somebody go, they're sitting there in the Bahamas on the lawn chair and they're just sitting there on their phone?
Dude, this reminds
Are
me
they
of
having a blissful experience?
No, this reminds me of back in the day when before I found this process when I was like in the entrepreneur startup fucking world, and I actually went on this 4-day vacation. It was like a cruise to the Bahamas. It was like 2 days there, and the whole time I was just like, "Oh God, like something is not right. Like this is really fucked." Because I remember like you get off the ship, you take the bus to the fucking hotel, and you're just driving past these places. I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, this is not right. Because this was back in the day when I was listening to Your Wish Your Command, and I just remember listening to it being like, I need to find like there has to be other people that actually want to use this law of attraction thing to like change things. Like what? Like this is not right. Because I could see it's like it felt like this little. I mean, it was literally a gated little fucking hotel
Yeah.
on the beach, and you're there, and then you see all these families sitting around the pool, and the parents are fucking drinking because it's some all-inclusive resort. The kids are just whatever jumping in the pool, and it's like this is not life. Like this is not fucking life.
You
right
see what I'm saying though? But people act like it's more than it is. And then want to defend the system. And the system's like, yeah, whatever, slave. Keep pretending like you're having a good life.
Yeah, Mitch, did you take any selfies? Did you post them on your social media? Like, because that's probably why you didn't feel that great, because you didn't take the selfies and post for
Oh.
everybody. That's the secret. You just got to show everybody like I'm having so much
Oh,
fun.
I had to flex on
Then
people. Got it.
That's it. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting
Get
that
it wrong.
point too, because like I have to remind myself to post
Mhm.
because it's not like I want some credit or something from it. It's like, oh no, I have to post. I have a responsibility to post things
Mm.
because people need to see like the reality. And I don't put a lot of filters. I mean, sometimes it's okay to do that, but it's like a point of actually wanting to support people to see something. It's like, what's your relationship with that point? And like, yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to add to that, but
Okay.
I'm just looking
Well,
at what else we can.
I the only other things that I saw from this past week, actually no, there were some other things that I didn't look at, but the CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink, talking at the was that at the World Economic Forum that he was saying that about the robots?
Yeah, I think it
Like-
was like a impromptu meeting or something with them.
Oh, okay. It's like a hey guys, let's just run a quick.
Isn't
meeting.
that in Century of the Self? They do bring up BlackRock in like episode 3.
Oh, do they? I don't remember.
I
that.
think.
Remember.
Well, I know we're working through it. I am 99% sure in Century of the Self, it's around episode 3 or episode 4.
Mhm.
Because they started talking about those computer hackers and stuff, and then they introduced, yeah, there's a company called BlackRock that's using all of this to start taking over.
Okay. Yeah,
I didn't
remember
realize
that. Yeah, I guess the only point with the BlackRock guy is he was just saying it's going to be it is easier to introduce robotics into the countries with declining populations,
Yeah.
especially if they have declining populations and they quote xenophobic anti-immigration.
Yeah.
Which actually was the reason I liked it was because he was just exposing the whole point of the immigration is to try to save these declining populations.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the
yeah.
whole point because you need that you still need the labor. It's like right now we still need the artists to make new songs because the AI is not totally there yet.
Yeah. Yeah. That was pretty much it. I think that wraps up the week for this week. Oh, aside from all the AI military shit, but I mean we talk about that all the time. But it's getting really crazy. It's really intense.
Yeah, and the whole thing with Israel is exposing that to those who are paying attention anyways, like the AI targeting that they're using these AI systems to select targets. Because
Yeah.
otherwise it's like you wouldn't get as many targets.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean better targets. You know what I mean? Like you're just getting more targets. So
Yeah.
like the guys at home now, we wouldn't have known he was at home before. Are there other
Yeah.
people there? I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Well, clearly to them it does not matter.
So the cool thing about it is you would think, oh, they're getting better at finding the target at the right time. It's like, no, they're just getting more targets.
Mhm.
It's not getting better at targeting. It's just showing you you're getting more targets. So imagine when the AI, and it already is doing this in some cases, can make the decision itself.
Yeah.
That's not going to be turned on everybody else. You know, and when you think about Palestine, it's like, oh, they're just the people that are there on our land. Isn't that the elite mindset?
Yeah.
You're all just here on our land. It's
Yeah.
ours. Like, so it's like the elite actually want to create utopia for themselves. So all the fucking plebe ideas of, well, if we created utopia, it would be people controlling everybody. It's like, that's what the elite call heaven. Like, that's what they're creating right now while you argue that we shouldn't have utopia.
You know
Like,
how
what
I
are you
sent
talking
you
about?
I sent you that interview with the Holocaust survivor, right? Where he was talking about Israel.
I survived the Holocaust.
I'm glad.
I'm gonna, dude. Oh my god, I would love that shirt. Holocaust survivor.
I'll get you one. But no, he was talking about how like what Israel is doing is a repeat of the Holocaust. It reminded me, have you ever been to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, DC? Like right there on the mall. Okay. In that museum, you go through and it's got all the like, here are the news articles, here are the shoes, here's, you know, all that stuff, right? The uniform that they forced the Jews to wear, it gives you all the, it's very immersive, very immersive. And it's 4 levels of this thing. And it's basically that there's a whole industry of taking children through this museum. So they're all indoctrinated with the same understanding, right? And at the end of the museum, this is the really interesting thing to me. The end of the museum, it talks about like, there's a whole room dedicated to what's happening in Cambodia or in Darfur or in like, you know, all these other countries that's like a Holocaust. And it's like, never again. Like the whole reason this museum is here is to stop that from happening anywhere.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How big is the one on Palestine? How big is that part?
What's a Palestine?
What?
What's,
You mean they don't have like a whole thing about Palestine?
who is that? Is that like a, is that a guy from
It's
World War
interesting
II?
that you're a terrible person if you deny the Holocaust.
Uh-huh.
What if you deny the one in Palestine? You're just
How dare you?
you're just informed. And it's like, oh, our version of history is correct. But
Yeah.
is it possible for people to manipulate history and lie about it? Oh, yeah, people do it all the time.
Yeah.
So could you be doing it? Nope. Not possible. Just
Right.
trust us. It's like,
Right.
what? You know, it's interesting because then think about it. Like, to me, when you talk about the Holocaust Museum, it's the same as the fucking Creationist Museum where there's like Noah's Ark and shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Right,
okay,
right.
anybody can make a museum and put a bunch of fucking shoes and stuff. Like, anybody can do that. That doesn't make it real. That doesn't make anything that you're saying valid. It doesn't,
It's
It
just
certainly
playing on the
doesn't-
energy.
even if all of it's valid, it doesn't justify your conclusion.
Yeah. Yeah. But that
Isn't it
was just-
ironic too that like the whole thing is, you know, the whole thing about since probably Trump was elected, that's really become mainstream in everybody's mind is like the whole idea of DEI and like oppression and all that kind of stuff, right? And like being a victim and all these different things, right? And it's like, and that's part of what anti-Semitism plays into, right? Is like you're oppressing people, you're hating on them, right? But at the same time, the Israelis are literal colonists. Like, and even if you don't think that they personally are, who created the state of Israel?
the Rothschilds, no?
Like, well, but even if you don't go conspiracy,
England.
I'm not saying it's not
Right.
true. Yeah,
UK.
like the Balfour Declaration, a literal, it was like a colonist country creating a colony somewhere, but then acting like they didn't because someone else showed up. You know what I mean? It's like us fighting with Russia through the Ukraine, but pretending like it's just Ukraine fighting them. You know what I mean? Even though we're like, Trump got impeached for not wanting to send weapons potentially to Ukraine. It's like, so are we giving them weapons? And It's like, I'm not doing the fighting. I just gave them all the weapons. What?
Hmm.
So you're not enabling it. Well, then we're not fighting. It's not us doing it.
Right.
So it's just ironic because the whole project of Israel is whether you agree with it or not,
Like,
it's a colonization. It's literally what it is. And then wanting to use the same rhetoric to be why you can't be anti-Semitic. And it's like, or why you shouldn't be. You know, trying to say like to say against Israel is anti-Semitic. It's like, but at the same time, you're the colonist. Like what?
Okay, think about like police brutality, right? Like the whole argument of like defund the police, right? Because you're giving them funding, you're allowing them to have these weapons and do this training or whatever where they're brutalizing blacks in America, right?
Yeah.
But then, okay, if we say defund Israel, like whoa,
Right.
whoa, excuse you, how dare you? Like,
Think about it. Where did the primary majority of the Israelis come from?
yeah,
Where?
Europe.
It's like literal European colonists. But somehow they found a way to twist the wording of it in a way where you feel like
Because they
they're
were
the
oppressed by the Egyptians and shit.
dude. It's
1,000
straight
years
up
ago.
like let's say Britain or France, I guess, like went and colonized Ghana, I think, right? And then they like rise up against the French colonists, and then everyone's like, they're these French colonists are fighting for their life. No one thinks like that. Everyone's like, yeah, France, they colonized them. Fuck France, you know, fuck England for colonizing Nigeria or whatever. Like, get the fuck out of here. But in this one particular case, they're like, oh no, like it was totally legitimate, and like they had to go somewhere, and like all this fucking bullshit. And I'm saying, okay, hear me out for a moment. Why does it matter? Because you're like, why are you going on about this? First of all, I did the genetic tests. I am Jew. Okay, so I am Ashkenazi Jew, according to the I mean, I'm sure everybody is. I'm sure it's just something to make you feel special. But I could say that. So I'm just a self-hating Jew at this point. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm also German. So I feel like there's naturally going to be some conflict inside of me, right? But why does it matter? Because we'll go to the ends of the earth to make sure this evil never happens again. But at the same time, be like, we can't make a world where there's no possibility for evil, but also we can never allow this evil to happen again. So do we want to create a world where there is no possibility for evil? Because you're taking the essence of evil, the most pristine example of evil is what we believe as the Holocaust, right? It's like it's like if you could sum up evil in one word, you know what I mean? It's Holocaust. It's that word. You add Hitler to it. You know what I mean? Like that is the representation of evil in our world. And we have to never let that happen. But at the same time, anybody who stands up and says, we should create a world that's best for all, it's like, you have to allow for evil. You have to allow for the possible. Okay, so should we allow a world where there's a possibility of holocausts? Well, no, of course not. We can't allow that. Like, so what argument are you saying? The same person who would say the fucking we have to allow for the possibility of evil and the choice of evil would also be like, you can't allow Holocaust. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Can you guys push back, or what do you think about what I'm saying? It's not crazy, right?
I was just
it makes sense.
Yeah, I was just looking for something that was that was funny, Mitch. I was looking for somebody had told me over the weekend that a large percentage of all these like major podcasts and everything, a large percentage of the guests are Zionist Jews, mostly, like people who are
I've
like,
seen this before. Yeah.
Okay.
You do the math and it's like it's overrepresentation.
Yeah. And like over 50% on all of them. It's just like, oh, that's interesting. Some of them are as high as like 70-80%. Like, wow, that's really interesting. But yeah, no, just that point of like, I'm trying to think of the argument that somebody would make of like, well, I mean, you can't leave room for a Holocaust, but you can't restrict so many people so much that they can't do like because then what freedom would
what if I said like but Hitler was just exercising his free choice, his free will?
Well, that's not okay.
you can say, well, there's a consequence for that. We're allowed to kill them. That's fine.
Mhm.
But that's not what they're arguing. It's like we want to put systems in place to not allow
Right.
certain things. Like you're not allowed to question the Holocaust in certain
Right.
places legally.
Right.
Well, that's not free will.
Right.
And what's the
yeah,
argument? What's the argument? Well, but that's the type of thing we can't allow. It's like really dangerous.
Right.
Okay, I get that. But then you can't argue with me that we should create a world that's best for all with the argument that we have to allow for the possibility of evil.
Yeah.
Like, what do you, wouldn't that be like saying, like, think about this. Like, why are you not allowed to murder people? Why is there a law against it anyways? Not why you're not allowed to. Because like if everyone has free will, you could stop somebody from doing it if you want to, but I mean, I guess writing a law is the exercise of free will.
Mhm.
So it's like, isn't creating a world that's best for all an exercise of free will?
Yeah.
So if everybody has free will, like why can't we just influence each other to like do what is best? Because and this is where the self-honesty has to come in terms of the system. You're being influenced to think that way.
Yeah.
You're being influenced to support a system that's not best. And like if I could make any point during this episode, it's the will I am boom boom pow point. Like the system, we're teaching it now to boom boom pow for itself. So it doesn't need us anymore. I mean, maybe still at this very moment in time, but it's not going to be long before we're not needed anymore to boom boom pow.
Just trying to figure out what is the there's a every time you say boom boom pow, I imagine something happening. Like
I can't wait to see you in Miami. Let's practice. Like let's look maybe some YouTube videos. Those little like those things, you know. I'll get some long dreads and like braid them. Like pig pony, you know, like a black girl. Am I
Yeah.
allowed to say that?
You're allowed
Braids,
to.
not dreads. I didn't mean dreads. I mean like
Oh,
braids.
okay. Yeah.
We'll learn one of these things.
All right. Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
Hey, I figured out where Adam Curtis talks about BlackRock, and it's actually hyper normalization.
Oh,
Okay.
You guys seen that one?
that would make
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a very good documentary.
See, the thing is, I have all these things in my mind, and I don't even. It's like I get them so mixed up of like hypernormal, and then it's like, was that even Adam Curtis? And yeah. Anyways, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
Cool.
So-
I think we wrap on that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh,
Stop
man.
fucking going into your polarities.
Guys.
The
Will I
fucking
am-
bullshit.
He said it. You got to get sophisticated, and I guess my point with that is the actual sophistication, the actual critical thinking is creating a system that's best. Talking about that. Otherwise, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing with your time? If you're making shit, what are you making? If you have a kid and you're raising them, for what? Like, you have a responsibility to them to support them to live in a world that is best. So if you're just supporting them just to be another system slave, you're screwing them over and you don't love your kid.
And here's a
So,
question.
There's a special place in hell for people like that.
That's true.
It's called Earth.
Damn.
It's called AI, digital slave system.
And here's the real question. Do you want to survive until you're done? I can't hit those notes, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Pretty good. I actually sampled Drake's voice for that. song.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Let's change the world. Keep at it.
See ya later.
In Miami. No, see you next time.
Mike.
Then Miami.
Yeah. Dead man.
And then at all future events.
Yes.